Test. So you should start hearing some stuff now, but it's let me know what the audio is going to sound like on this mic that I have here now, because in the past few weeks I've needed to switch to the Cube. But can you hear me good with this? Good. Much better. Good. But for some reason, when we started going on the previous weeks, this mic right here was giving some issues, right? All right, we will start in 5 minutes. How's it going? Greetings, Steve.
I think maybe a good question, like, where this guy breaks it in, you know, like in the form of survey, like what airline, what was the last airline you flew on, which airlines you frequently.
The mic's live. What's up? Good, bro. Hey, coming in for the grand finale, huh? How are you?
Good luck to the new place.
How are you? How you
How are
been?
you? How's
Good.
everything?
Enjoy this with
Good.
the family.
Oh,
My mom
thank you,
made
man.
Homemade.
Thank you.
Home-baked mango bread.
So I should eat it all myself and not share?
Wow, if your wife finds out.
Thank you. All right, let's see. Hey. Hello, hello. Let me get 2 of these before we.
Quick minute. Oh, seller's file. I've been trying to reach them.
Email me. I know the owner really well. I'll do an email intro and he'll be on it within minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, appreciate that.
Good.
A girl
You gonna start working with them, or you?
I'd like to feel them out.
Okay.
I mean, you promoting them, that means.
No, they're good.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Funding.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
really good.
I've been selling out of products and I'm ready to like ramp up. And
Yeah.
if the funding's right, and the terms are right,
Cool. Yeah,
All right.
they will be. It's
I'll send you an email.
either them or there's another one. Them and Capitec. I can do intros to both if you want. How's everybody doing? Good? All right. Mhm.
probably their own brand. And my mom's brother, my uncle, he actually worked for them. So it's the manufacturer. He worked over there, making everything for Target. When I see the samples, disqualified samples, and he would just they would Target the one those extra samples, give it to me. He's just saving one my mom. And I see the wait, this is Target brand. That's how crazy it is coming back to.
That's crazy.
What do you get wife eat for Christmas? Unless she's listening, sorry.
No, I don't.
Don't forget, it's next week. That's what she said.
Yeah, no, I don't. I hadn't thought about it. I think she's been listening to a lot of really good. Oh, I think they're really good. She's in this targeting loop of health, or like the stuff that's around us actually being toxic, type of thing. And we looked at all of our that we've had for a while. I mean, when we got it, we really invested. We thought good in it, but like the cookware that we have, and we took a look at it afterwards, and a lot of them are scraped straight through, and the metal's exposed, or we find out now when we go look it up that the coating that was on it is actually toxic. So I think she said, let's just give each other the gift of like redoing all the cookware, all the appliances and everything that's in the house. I think that's what we're doing, and I think she ordered it. But then I also got a print-on-demand gift for her, and I gave it to her early because they like won't honor a return unless within 24 hours you let them know something. So I needed to get her approval on it, but it's this canvas. And you know, like a street sign, how it has like the street and the avenue like this? This has 4 of them, and it has, you know, me and my birthday, her and her birthday, and both the kids. And she loved it. I think she got teary-eyed over it. So like, I think that's our first like family canvas in the house. But between that and the cookware, I believe that's what we're gonna do, and some cards. How about you? Unless she's listening.
I found, my daughter is now like in the workforce, and so every once in a while I'll find this giant bag, and it's called Rent the Runway. You ever heard of that before? So basically what she does is she goes in.
Can you throw that to him, please? Either one, the cube, yeah. No, to him, to Tom. Thanks.
For the month, $69 for the month. So she rents the runway, gets this outfit sent to her, and she gets to wear it, try it out. And if she doesn't like it, doesn't have to take it dry clean, anything else, puts it back in the bag and sends it back to him. So she gets a really cool outfit, and she does like it. She can keep it, or what a lot of them do is they send it back and then they buy the brand new outfit that comes pressed. So, and it depends on how many outfits you want. It could be, you know, $59, $69, you know, depends on how many outfits or whatever you want. So, my daughter's much younger than my wife, clearly, and so there's different Rent the Runway type stores based upon your age demographic and your style that you got. So I got her some like that just to, but she's always like, well, we'll go out to dinner, and she's like, I have nothing to wear, and I'm like, has any husband ever heard that before from their wife? I got nothing to wear. So that kind of maybe solves that problem. So that was a cool one.
Anybody else get any gift that they're allowed to say on camera? That, not on camera, but with audio, that was a little different?
I am asking for the Meta glasses with the camera on the side.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I'll say that I have bought more stuff this Christmas than any other. One of the reasons is we're going to have some fun with some content creation starting next week, and that is we're bought a bunch of products, and there's a few people that we hired a videographer for like different half-day chunks, and we're going out to, I'll probably go to a field just to see this happen, but like walking up to people asking them like basically I amassed a bunch of products that if you stole my thunder. So we amassed a bunch of products that are, I was inspired by a friend of mine, well, Ramon in the group. We roasted his product one day, the cover of it. And so I was like, let me get a bunch of products that the packaging, you're not immediately clear what's inside. So we're gonna be getting random people and offering them maybe a little prize or something to be able to say instantly what's inside. And then we also have these placards of products that are as is, main image, and a fully optimized one, and getting live feedback from random people as to like which ones they do. So we had to get a lot of different products together to be ready as almost like props in the car. Thinking about getting a little wagon even with all these products put in. So it'll be fun. It'll be a fun content creation piece, but because of that, I bought a lot more products.
What's the content for though?
We're gonna put it online for the group. See what sticks, what people like, what feedback.
I saw a guy on Facebook now, like a lot of people are trying to like give away money to get that surprise. And this guy's just walking up to random people, handing them a wrapped gift and saying, "Merry Christmas, here's a gift for you." And of course they're filming it and they open it up and it's like, I don't know, brand new PlayStation 2 or it's a, giant, something, whatever. Oh, thank you. And what do I deserve this for? No, and it's just content.
Yeah, we didn't have anything like that in mind, but we got a lot of different ideas to start doing. But that'll start next week. So I'll share some of it, like some behind the scenes stuff with you guys, and you guys give me some feedback on it. The idea is to make it as entertaining as possible. See if something like that sticks.
I wonder if you did something where you had I like the idea of these glasses with the camera, because it's not like I'm filming you like, hey, open up the gift, like I'm filming you. It'd just be giving you the gift, and you would have no clue that I'm actually videotaping. So I wonder if you get a different reaction from the camera and a different vantage point than from like someone like.
Yeah, we're actually walking up to the people, getting an image released beforehand. Then, it's a little more staged than that, so that we actually can use it and don't.
Is it a monthly subscription?
For what?
For the glasses?
I think.
No, glasses are a one-time thing.
Other volumes, that seems to have.
Glasses are one time, so it's like, I think they're like $329 or something.
Yeah.
But they have sound in them, and here's the other cool thing, they have AI. So if you had a bunch of groceries on your table, you could look at it with your glasses and you could say, tell me what I can make for dinner tonight. So they actually visually recognize what's in front of you. This should be fun.
Yeah, so the other one is we hired, one of the other announcements I was gonna make today is we hired I guess you could say full-time, but it's definitely more than part-time person. So the TikTok influencer program, person starts on Monday. We'll probably get 2 or 3 people, but one officially starts on Monday, which has also had us buy a lot more products. You'll probably hear her name drop. She'll be mingling with the group, getting feedback and sharing some stuff. Her name's Erica. The idea here is to move fast and break stuff. And that's gonna be recording every which way imaginable, different types of products, and trying to get a format that works.
That's here,
A lot of it's gonna be here, but we're not gonna be limited to here. If the person feels like being on a train track, wearing X, talking about blank will work, then that person will do it. But they may be here for some of the meetup groups, not a requirement, but what we learn, the good, the bad, and hopefully some funny, I'll be sharing. So the goal is going to be.
Is that because of the TikTok shop creator making so much of a splash in terms of being able to make money?
Part of it is, but if it was just that and the looming possible shutdown of TikTok would make that kind of like, well, why don't we wait to see what happens with that? But the type of content that's creating, in my opinion, because obviously I don't know if TikTok's going to stay or not, but even if it goes away, that style of content and the creators that are doing that to make money, it's going to be popping up somewhere else, just maybe not so focused. So it is going to be, that type of stuff does already happen on YouTube. There are some reels. So those are just going to grow in popularity. So it's more of that type of content converting so well and us playing with it for so long at this point that we see that it works. Now, if we're going down that rabbit hole of let's move fast and break stuff, and I'm pretty much like, the job interviews are kind of crazy. They're like, how do we measure success? And I'm like, well, look, I don't think what you're gonna do is gonna make any money for quite some time, but I want you to create a lot of videos following this format to give me, so I can give feedback on them and tell you do this, try this, to really narrow it down as to what works and then share it with you guys.
Does she have success on TikTok, I would imagine? Or?
She has success. No, we're starting with a new TikTok account,
Okay.
just so to kind of mimic as closely as what everybody else does. She's very comfortable on the camera. How's the audio, by the way?
It sounded much better. Whatever you did over there.
Yeah. So very comfortable on the camera. Hopefully you'll meet her, but she's part of our the salsa scene, what we do on the Salsa King side. So great teacher, very authoritative, understands human psychology. I think that's what she's studying. So great. So I'm excited about that. But again, tying into the why we bought so many more products this year than any other year, it's to test a lot of stuff.
The first 3 videos gonna be really helpful, and that's how they
Well, one of the hurdles was how to get that. The first one is how to get, what is it, like 5,000 or something like that followers. So we tested this on a few different accounts. That's no problem. It's no problem at all to get those things. I mean, it's very clear to look at what works. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this again, male or female to do this, but and I'm saying this in the classiest way possible, if that's possible. But I will say that if you are a woman, it will be significantly easier for you to get those 5,000 on TikTok. Literally flipping your hair. So don't let your mind go to like OnlyFans type of stuff, right? Like you literally can flip your hair, or like, I don't know if it's a testament to how weak guys are or how much TikTok tries to push stuff, but if there's a little strap showing of like nothing, again, I don't think that's bad form, but there's so many different things you can do to blow past 5,000 on TikTok. That's not the issue. So we're going to start with a new account. I don't know if we'll do some of those things out the gate, but the other one is, since we're going to have several different TikTok accounts, the rules kind of surrounding why they suspend you and why they don't is kind of ambiguous. And when you do get suspended, we need to be able to open another account rather fast. So like, that's the whole thing. Other bit of good news that made me confident to do this is we finally got some contacts with some higher ups in TikTok and being able to have some calls and being like, hey, look, this is, the only favor I want is if something crazy happens and it's like obviously stupid and it is a US, like for example, some of the things will just suspend you because they're like, you're from a different country and you're acting like you're from the US. I'd be like, no, I've known this person for X amount of time. They're from the US. Like, I've been to their house. Like, look at this. They're telling me that I'm going to have a contact that I'll be able to like get through some, we'll see. But those pieces have allowed me to say, okay, we're going to go ahead and build this out. And then long-term goal in this is, besides the motivation of like, I'm not a TikTok person, and if I wait for time for me to just get a bunch of hours in the day to figure out how to do this, to teach you, it's not going to happen. I just have way too many things that are a priority for me to do. And even if I did have the time to do it, I would immediately turn around and hire someone and train them. So I'm just going to cut that out and just hire the person, or persons, which we did. But there are some people here that want to make money from the creator side too, or as I name is on influencer. There's going to be some thought put to that as well, to the sense of like, look, one of the ways we can track this and one of the ways that you can make more money than what I'm currently paying you is I'll be extra generous with the commissions. I mean, you look at these screenshots and they're telling you $10, $15, $54,000. Great, you could have 50%. You know, I really don't care. I want you to move fast, break stuff so that we can all, because if I can give you some stuff that I'm like, hey, this is working for us, you're going to go out and do it. And you're going to learn a few things, and hopefully you bring it back. That's the goal. And if not, enough people will, so we'll be able to figure it out to help grow brands. But one of the measurements there is going to be like, you know, from the creator side with affiliates, like what's working there as well. My hope is that when I launch the DIY Gummy Mix brand, that I now have a in-house, built-out influencer stable that I'll be able to go off of for that kind of stuff on TikTok. But we'll see. I'm gonna be as transparent as possible about the whole thing with everyone. I'd love to be able to share some of this in real time, but there might be a slight delay of a few days. I may create a special chat, free to join. That's like anybody that wants to see some ugly behind the scenes and trade ideas, you can, but that's really not appropriate maybe for the influencer Telegram chat that we have. So if you see me post about that, just, I'm not even gonna like send a link. I'll just say, if you're interested, DM me. Just, if you're interested, DM me.
Carlos, just a heads up. So I hired Viralish Adley, and so one of the first things I asked was 5,000 followers. That doesn't exactly seem easy. And they were like,
no problem.
Yeah,
You
it's
put
not-
up a decent video, you're gonna get the 5,000
Yeah.
followers in a blink, and I was like, really? They were like blowing it off like it was like a non-event. So I was looking at it from, you need 5,000 followers in order to be able to, you know, broadcast a product and hopefully get paid an affiliate commission from that. But then, as I started diving deeper into there, there's all these different ways of doing
Yeah.
TikTok videos, like different scripts, how do you intro, how do you out, you know, what's your style and stuff. And then it was also from you as a brand owner, you know, you can have a TikTok store, so you can actually have your product sent out to other affiliates. And then it was, if you have a brand and you wanted to, if you're, there was a mortgage guy on there that was trying to do TikTok business for a mortgage company. I was like,
Yeah.
so the scope of it is a lot bigger than just affiliate from a TikTok
Yeah.
shop creator.
Yeah,
I had
so-
my TikTok account stolen from me, I created a new one.
Yeah, I mean, that happens on all platforms. The frustrating thing though with TikTok to date has been, first of all, my wife and I messed with it. We got this course a while back. She did most of it, and it was, first of all, it's not as easy as they say. Like it's a special type of editing and like almost like quick dopamine hits throughout, which I'll call TikTok style editing, which is not as easy as they make you seem it to be. And at one point when we got in, you could just pure AI it. And then you could like AI it and like bookend it with like an appearance of a person. And it's evolving pretty fast. And the only videos that we made some commissions on, and they weren't commissions to like, I mean, any commissions was kind of like, you think you cracked the code, but was like, they were horrible and they broke every rule. And it was like, there was one of my, you know those socks that have like ears coming off the side and the ears are magnets or something like, it was, and it was bad lighting. I mean, the angle of it showing it, it showed parts of my house that I've been like, well, if I had to pick a part of my house that looked like a crack house, because I mean, like, that would be it, you know? Could you find a dirtier piece of the closet, you know, with little dust bunnies and stuff going on? I was like, I mean, we got a bunch of dogs and kids. It's not like it looks like it's something out of a magazine, but I was like, this is just horrible. Like, this is almost embarrassing. What if somebody I know sees this? And it made money. So I was like, okay, let's just get somebody to do this. And again, I'm pretty optimistic about it. So I wanted to share that. And that's all that just from saying that I ordered a bunch of stuff for Christmas.
So you're pivoting from YouTube to TikTok?
No, I'm not pivoting. If I was pivoting, then I'd be doing it. But since I'm not pivoting, I'm getting somebody else to do TikTok. And preferably they're gonna be, eventually there's gonna be several people. Just, I'm calling it moving fast and breaking things on TikTok. No, YouTube I'm still very heavily focused on. It may not look like it, but eventually be able to take a peek into that room that's over there. And just a lot of build out on the back end of that, trying out a bunch of different lights. But I'm really hoping that that's fully operational and I'm back to creating videos again, I would say by January 1st. So in today's topic, at 2 o'clock when we get into it, it's gonna be, you know, we're gonna talk about goal setting and stuff. And I'm not gonna go like blow by blow through every goal that I set, and we don't have the time with a group, even though it's not one of our larger turnouts today. But like, we don't have time for every single person to like go blow by blow through their goals as well. But I will say one of the goals, especially I'll try to spend more time talking about the goals I didn't hit instead of just sitting up here like I'm tooting my own horn about all these things I crushed. But one of the ones I didn't hit my goal on, well, first of all, starting YouTube was a goal, and that got hit. You know, Tom and I took a fantastic course on it, learned a ton. That's impacted so many different areas of my business. And at the end of the day, I feel like I did not hit the goals I had for YouTube beyond just starting. But when you look back, I created 20 videos. And at some point you need, and I'd call more than half of them fails, even though they've resulted in business that looks like it may have paid for the edits that went into it, which is weird. But I learned a ton from them. So going back in and starting in January is gonna be like very different. It's gonna be really good. So it was worth it. I think it's possible that I set an unrealistic expectation. It was like, you know, I'm not gonna go to any conferences or anything for the first half of this year because I'm just locked in on YouTube, and kind of like by June or July, everything's gonna magically be on cruise control and put my processes in place and I'll be doing stuff. That's not how it goes. So Again, we have a YouTube meetup that starts back up as far as regular events in January as well. So if anybody that wants to know about the YouTube side of things, you're welcome to join. Speaking of which, since we're kind of in the announcement section, our Shopify meetup starts back up again in like late January or February in full force. Like we got a lot of great presenters lined up. And again, that's a different one than this. Like we end our thing, and then after this, we'll start having some
On Saturdays?
on Saturdays. Yeah.
Are you gonna do a Fiverr one?
So this is, oh good, you're by the speaker. We have another meetup called Course Creators. And I thought, man, you think the Amazon one took off, the Course Creator one, that's gonna be our biggest community ever that I'm doing. Now, everything that I know about building community, that Course Creator one's gonna go all in. Barrier of entry, almost nothing. I mean, it's huge profit margins. So, shockingly though, even though I've played with the title of it, it's almost crickets as far as who's joining it. So I'm not abandoning it, and I made it very agnostic. Like I didn't do, I started dropping some terms in there, like the buzzword right now when you think about selling informational products is the Hormozy one, school. So I played with that to get people about the same thing. You know, then I made it to where it didn't mention it was like very platform agnostic. It didn't do anything. So what I'm thinking about doing is turning that one into a more of just like a side hustle type of event. Like here are ways to make extra streams of income.
From the Kerner guy, from the guy who does all the side hustles that I think you're putting on your podcast, that
Yeah.
kind of like that kind of side of like selling Christmas tree kind of thing?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have so many topics that we've talked about over the years, either that I've done or that other people discovered or that we've shared a link of, and they're these random side hustles that someone can do. And I feel like that would be interesting to a broader amount of people. Fiverr could be one of those things that people could do. And it would also be something for the people that come to I call it the main group, our Amazon group, that they come in here and they're like, I want to do private label, Carlos. And I'm like, that's great. You come to the right spot. We're gonna be able to help you. And they're like, yeah, I got $500. Like, what do I order? I'm like, no. That's not how that works. So I don't have a lot of options that I can give them to be able to say, hey, we have this like really robust, side hustle, thing going on, and this other one that you can go to and really get started in bootstrapping something, and then come back to this one when you have some money. That I feel like that has some legs. Like it's something that not to mention it'd be a blast. Can you imagine sitting there thinking of like a whole bunch of like random side hustles? I don't know. I love that kind of talk. I don't know if that gets your guys' creative juices going. That is one of the other things that we plan on doing, like the filming, like the squad I have together now to go out there and do the filming stuff. One of them is a bunch of cool stuff, especially that I've learned over the last year with OfferUp and Facebook Marketplace. They're going to be doing some actual tests on that. Like we're going to be like, okay, we're about to list 500 products on Facebook Marketplace that we don't even own, and this is how we can make some money. And then we're going to like turn it into like a little case study. So cool stuff in the new year. Any questions from, how's the audio good? Any questions on the stream?
Yeah, Tom, so there's a two-part question from Dimitri.
Oh, Dimitri, what's up?
He says, what is your experience with deal managers from Amazon? My colleagues in UK are able to submit deals through them when 7-day deals are not available via Seller Central.
Yeah, I don't. He's saying, so he has a deal manager that's not giving him a deal, it sounds like? I'm not understanding the.
He just wants to know your experience with deal managers. I guess in the UK, the deal managers are able to get deals when they're not
Made it.
available.
Good.
When they're not available in Seller Central.
I really don't have a lot of experience with deal managers. Like I never really have to really deal with them. Like deals, we submit them, they go through, or we take advantage of the opportunities that are presented to us. So I don't really have much to add on that. Usually there's no resistance in that area.
Second part is, what's your experience working with Amazon SAS managers?
Oh, horrendous. Yeah, horrendous working with Amazon SAS managers. To be fair though, I think the only reason they exist is that there is this like needle in the haystack, and if you get that needle, that manager could help you a ton in Amazon, but the rest of them are just, I'd say, not worth their weight in salt. Yeah, yeah. They're almost as bad as the random PPC advice that Amazon sends you about what you should do with your campaigns and your keywords. Like, why somebody would listen to that is just beyond me. But like, they're neck and neck. Like, those departments have to be like right next to each other. Like, they're drinking from the same water. They're hired from the same pool. Like, it's bad. They're really bad. Yeah. I'm glad I can give you a more definitive answer on that second part, but they're bad, really bad. I think Amazon would admit they're bad. I don't know what they're doing. Yeah, okay. I'm obviously not sugarcoating that one. Other announcement, this is our last meetup of the year. Looking at the calendar, but we'll either be off for 2, it's possibly 3 Saturdays, but I think it's 2. 2 Saturdays. I'm usually a lot more active online during those times, especially Saturdays, because I'm sitting here wondering what to do with my life on Saturdays at that point. Right? Well, Bruce and I are already making plans, right? Huh?
I feel like the day when you don't have a meeting, I feel like something's missing Saturday.
Yeah, it does. It does. I'd say I'm not going to say my motivation ever goes down. My motivation's always high, but I do find like I'm really like anxious for the groups to start, like for the events to start, the meetups to start back up again after missing 1 week, let alone 2. So just be a lot more active in the chats. Reach out to other community members and try to get together, brainstorm. Don't worry if this is your first Q4 break. It's not the end. We're not stopping. We do come back after the break. We end the meetup with, we all hold hands and, no, I'm just kidding. No, we end it with the goal setting meetup that we're gonna talk about today. Depending on how long the break is, so if it's 2 Saturdays, we'll just come back with like a really strong, fun, actionable meetup event. But if it's 3, we'll do that. If it's 2, we usually come back with another similar goal one, which is kind of like, hey, you've had your Christmas food and all this other stuff or whatever you're eating, you've relaxed, it's time to recenter. Remember those things that we created before. You should have had them done. If you haven't, revisit that, right? How's business for everyone? Like, I don't have products to show today for doing live product sourcing, but I can pull up anything you guys want on the screen to look at. But any questions you have in your business, or you're stuck on something, you're wondering something, now would be the time to bring it up in the beginner hour. Yeah.
Jump in on that. For years, I've been having a product from China come to me first.
By the way, this is Captain Catnip. He's one of like the oldest members in the group.
So for years,
Oh, you should stand up. I'm just kidding.
the product comes in from China, straight to my condo, and it's like, oh man, look at all these boxes. I wanted to go from China straight to Amazon. Is it a different process, or are there more steps to take?
You would, what?
The product comes to me first, and then I open up the
Yeah,
box.
you missed a few chapters.
That's probably the
Yeah, okay, so you're gonna want it, I hate saying this because you've probably heard me for so many years that I'm so anti shipping straight to Amazon. But right now, just the way things are with the cost of shipping and the fees that Amazon's charging on the logistics side, you wanna ship straight into AWD, so Amazon Warehouse Distribution. In most cases, that's what you wanna do. Run the numbers, but look at what it's gonna cost you to send straight to AWD. I'm seeing that there's a lot of products we're sending it to a 3PL, makes sense, and then staging that into AWD. I would still avoid at all costs, if possible, sending straight into FBA for the same reasons that you're doing it the way you're doing it. Amazon is very unforgiving. I wouldn't send straight into an FBA center. If at all possible, I wouldn't. And that's just a personal choice. A lot of people do, and they're happy with it, and they swear by it. Until they don't, and it's usually an extinction level event when that happens. I like to avoid extinction level events.
Question about the AWD.
What's what? It's a mic, by the way. So
Hi. Question about that. Because I'm not sure, to to ship over there, I have to ship on pallets, or it's just regular like to Amazon?
You don't have to ship pallets.
I don't have to,
No.
okay, and I have to use their shipment or no? Like Amazon logistic?
You would, if you're coming from China, you'd probably use AGL, Amazon Global.
But I have to?
I always have. I mean, I don't think you can use a different carrier.
I have my own,
Our own agent.
our own agent, we work with him
That's a good question.
for like 3 years.
No, you could use different carriers. Yeah, you could use different carriers. Yeah, you can use different carriers. I'm sorry, I blanked for a second. Yeah.
Thank you.
I switched gears from him from, usually you're thinking from China. The sweetest combo right now, in almost every case, is AGL to AWD. Make sure your master boxes are configured to where you can hold as many boxes in a single master box as possible. Send it into AWD and then drip it into FBA. But you gotta know the numbers because it's not 100%.
Is AWD on the West Coast reopened again, or is it still closed? Because I heard it was 6 weeks behind still.
Yeah, I know most people I know are still shipping into it fine. I know there's a lot of talk that it's, like, some people are not able to ship it in, but I know people that are still shipping stuff in. Flaco. Yeah.
So why you recommend to ship there? Because of the cost?
Yeah.
Because of the Amazon cost right now?
Yep. Yep. Front row seats today. Yeah. What other questions you guys have?
It's the same topic. Even if, like, you're using SKU drop and it's like a launch, you would still, like, SKU drop AWD FBA?
I mean, I'm assuming what you're trying to do ultimately is have the products available in Amazon FBA. So, yeah. Well, you possibly can do both.
Okay.
So you can ship some products into FBA to make sure you have products available quicker, because it's gonna take longer, at least on the first one through AWD, and then start backloading everything into AWD and drip it into FBA. But yes, even with SKU drop.
Okay.
How long it usually takes?
Oh my
Get to
God,
FBA.
right now or normally?
No.
We're not even in a spot where we could say normally yet, because it's so relatively new. But right now, it's, you don't even wanna know the number, like, right now, it's like, don't plan for Valentine's Day, I would say.
I have something just sitting in the board.
The idea here is
Right.
January's gonna,
By this time next year, it'll be the sweetest thing there, and no one's gonna know of any headaches, in my opinion. Right now, though, it's a dumpster fire. Yeah. But you know what used to be a dumpster fire too? When Amazon rolled out FBA. And now everybody's like, that's just this magical thing that just happens, yeah. But when they rolled it out, it was a total dumpster fire.
And a question for AWD is, if you have inventory sitting in FBA, is that possible to reverse from FBA to AWD?
No,
Yeah, I don't
no,
think
you can't FBA reverse it into AWD, no.
Only one way.
No, but you could recall it to you and absorb all of those costs and let your 30 units drip back to you over the next 3 weeks in massive boxes with 1 unit inside.
We missed the opportunities, yeah.
Yeah, just do it on the next round. Yeah.
So here we share something that people saw on TikTok, and TikTok shop performance score is really important. If you receive a negative review, please submit and find.
Can you throw her that mic, please?
If you received a negative review on TikTok shop, please take care of that, and it does affect your shop performance. And it's a little bit different than Amazon. If you receive a negative review, you are allowed to talk to the buyer to exchange your mind, it's like a refund or send like a placement
Mm-hmm.
to the buyer to exchange, remove the negative review. It's allowed.
That's
Like,
good.
Amazon's not allowed, right?
No.
But TikTok does allow. And also, be careful.
But on Amazon, just on Amazon, they used to allow it. Like, it's just because TikTok will head in that direction. And in Amazon, when I started, before they would resolve anything, they'd require you to at least attempt to call the customer. They'd give you the phone number of the customer and you called them. So
Wow.
TikTok would, right, and then some brilliant Amazon guru created a group talking about how you could build a CRM, and then we ruin it, but you used to be required to call them.
And be careful of your buyers. TikTok target
good stuff.
Awesome.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, that's good. It sounds like the old Wild Wild West of Amazon, but now on TikTok. Yeah. Yep. What's the question?
Any suggestions on how to move products that you can't sell on Amazon via Facebook Marketplace or eBay? I have them listed on those websites, but aren't generating sales.
So not all products move the same on all platforms is the first one. Selling something new close to the full retail price does not do well on OfferUp or Marketplace or anything like that. So the first thing I would say is, what are you selling it for? Like if it was selling on Amazon for 20 bucks and then you're saying, I couldn't sell it on Amazon, let me just sell it for 18 bucks on Marketplace or OfferUp. I mean, that's usually the biggest problem. It's a very price sensitive platform. The other one would be the image of the product. Images, like on any platform, really matter. So like check out your image. Does it show, you don't have to go take a professional photo, but try to show the product. Like preferably, if it's possible, show the product. Like if you have the option of grabbing the image that you had on Amazon as the main image with a plain white background, or you have the option to get a product that is assembled, say a dollhouse, and you could get a picture of the dollhouse actually assembled in a house, even if it's from the same Amazon listing, you'd rather post that one than a picture of the box on the main image. Like help the person sort of visualize it in their house. That helps a ton. And then finally on Facebook Marketplace, you could spend a couple bucks to just boost it, and the amount of eyeballs you'll get is almost immediate, like extra eyeballs. Like you could get a lot more visibility on something on Marketplace. Yeah, that would be my 2 cents on that.
My 2 cents, don't waste your time on products that you're gonna lose money on. It's not gonna be worth your headache. Liquidate as quickly as you can, and if not, destroy. And move on and have the mental capacity to work on the next thing that's actually gonna make you money. Trust me, I deal with it myself. I'm not perfect either. We all have duds.
We were wondering about that part about the perfection thing.
We all have duds. So clear your mind. Give yourself space to create.
Ramon didn't have his coffee today. He went to the juggler. He just shredded the guy. The guy's figuring out how to like make ends meet and like get the money back, and you're like, burn it, burn it. No, I hear it. I agree. You'd much rather like get almost nothing for it and get rid of it and move on than death by 1,000 cuts over 2 years, dripping one out every few days on Marketplace. But some stuff moves pretty fast on Marketplace. Anybody else have anything question-wise? You advancing your products, Candace? I won't say what they are, but like.
Oh, yeah, so I'm waiting for, hi everyone, hi Dan. I'm waiting for my packaging in order to move forward. And actually something you said, I was just thinking before you decided to call on me. A couple of weeks ago you said, like, join, some Facebook groups, or you said start a group.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, I don't know right now, like for my lab. I wouldn't start a group for that, I don't think right now, because, so guys, my product is something aesthetic, but it has like bees, it's involving bees, and I'm like, well, it's one thing, I don't know if I'd start a group, but then I was like, oh my god, do you know how many like Save the Bees groups there are with like thousands of people? So I started joining the groups. So I don't know, like you said, you could join a group, but I mean, you could start a group, but I feel like joining a group, like there's so many things you could share to these groups and just get all this free sharing. So I think that was a really important thing as far as advancing and planning for when my product comes out.
Yeah, you said you do share what that product is?
You can, I don't care. I haven't, but it doesn't matter.
Okay, so no, but your product also, I won't say what it is. Your product will probably have an easier time in the alcohol portion
Yes,
than it would be in the B portion.
right.
I've actually helped several people before. Why does this thing keep going on? I've helped several people before. Like, my thought is, okay, say, I'm gonna say wine.
Right.
So if you created a group about wine, there's a lot of people that like wine, but that's
Oh,
like too
yeah.
broad.
Right, right.
But if you went into like wine pairing, yeah. Oh, you wanna join? Yeah, you're like, yeah, so like there's wine pairing, gorgeous images that you could share from Pinterest that have to do with like wine pairing and the cheeses and the meats and all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
And the thought would be, you just want to post beautiful things that people may want around their house,
Yeah.
and a percentage of those people are going to find the product you have as beautiful. And if you went just the B route, I mean, what are your options? You're also going to throw in there things like, you know, how to harvest pollen, you know what I mean? Or on the other route, you could be like, well, we got a wine pairing thing going on here in this Facebook group, and everyone's loving it, and everyone's loving the ones with cheeses the most. And there's a bunch of these little cheese knives. I don't know if there is a
Right.
bunch, but how about some like bee knives? But you won't. It seems like you have a lot more opportunities if you look at the other half of it than just the bees.
Yeah.
Make sense?
No, I agree. Well, and the reason I looked at that side is because I was like, well, I can't just do like wine, that's too broad. So I think looking at it through different lenses and just try, like, see what sticks. But I think the Facebook groups, I would have never like thought of. And I'm already in so many groups, so that was like a really great thing.
Cool.
Carlos, I have to help her out, because there's nothing like having your own group. And you can hire admins to run your own group.
Yeah.
And from experience, I shared too much in other groups. Of course, it's a product.
Yeah.
And I would piss them off, and I was like, I want my own group.
Right,
and
right.
do whatever I want.
No, you're right. I'm admin. I'm admin in so many, like, I'm in a lot of rescue animal stuff. But yeah, you're right. Like, I'll start my own. You're right.
What's wrong with this?
How do you get the first 100 people in your first group?
There's no reason why, if you wanted to start a group nowadays, that you couldn't get a few thousand people within the first, like, 30 to 60 days. Like, there's just not.
I mean, yeah, with people that won't come, but like, how do you get your first 50 people that contribute?
The easiest thing out there right now is going to be Creator Network on ConvertKit. That's one of the easiest ones out there right now. You could also just reach out to other group members as long as it's something that's complementary. But like, if I was going to start a group right now in almost anything, I would use Creator Network, because even if you do start a group, that's only the first part. Like, getting a bunch of people to join your group is not a problem. But you want a certain type of people that join the group. And if you know you have a business, I'll use the stuff we learned at the event, but you want to take people from your group, which, if it's a group where everyone hangs out in, that means it needs to be as non-salesy as possible. Otherwise, people don't want to go hang out at a group to be sold, right? So you need to take people from fun, engaging, non-salesy to what you want to sell. Like, that's the gist of it. And you want to have something, a mechanism to take them there. That's usually a bridge, and that's usually email. So if you start with getting them on email, it's going to make everything else a lot easier for you downstream.
So get them on email, and then.
Right, otherwise you're going to get them in a group, and you're going to kind of be trapped in that platform with that group, and you don't know where everybody else, you want to make sure they're email first, if you really want to make money in that group. Yeah. Tom?
Check out a website called Passion Fruit, F-R-O-O-T.
Okay.
Passionfruit.me. It's a place where you can find other collaborators and newsletters, you know, kind of like ConvertKit, like what Carlos is talking about. So you could look in that wine, bee space or whatever, and then you can advertise on their newsletters or in their groups specifically to what you want.
Passionfruit, FROOT.me. Oh, thank you. Tom always has the best suggestions.
So like the first few thousand people, the first few thousand people I would do that way. And then, that's it, but.
And cost anywhere like 40 to 75 cents per lead.
Or less, depending on the category. Yeah.
By the way, I just wanted to what are we giving this to me for? Oh, why do I have this?
I don't know.
It was, he's probably just showing it to you.
Oh, thank you, yes, I'll look in one second. No. On a separate note, there's a hair, like a coloring product I use, and I started to do it at home, just because my place is too far, it got too expensive, it wasn't worth my time, I'm like, I'm doing it at home. So I started using this product, and I absolutely love it, and I left them this 5-star review on their site, and like, I haven't dyed my hair myself in I don't know how many years, but I love it. So I'm like, okay. So all of a sudden, wouldn't you know, I get an email like 2 days ago. Hi, saw you left a 5-star review. If you buy our product on Amazon, email us here, give us a screenshot, leave us the same 5-star review, and we'll Venmo you back the money. Can you believe that? And this is a big company.
I can see it.
Big company. Like, what do you think's, like, that's not legit. Like, what do you think's gonna happen? Anything?
I
No,
wouldn't-
not to me.
I
I'm just
wouldn't
gonna
do
get
it.
reimbursed my $50, that's fine.
Yeah, but if they can also tie it to your Amazon account, like those sort of accounts eventually go down, they'll tie it to you and they'll suspend you.
Are you serious?
Yeah, 100%. I wouldn't do that.
Really? No, wait, hold on, Carlos, but what if like randomly I was like, oh, I'm gonna buy this, and ever since I started going in this group, are you guys the same as me? Like, I like feel bad for the sellers now. I leave everyone a review. I'm like, I get it. I know what you mean. Like, I do. There's certain products I would only do it once in a blue, and now I do it all the time because I get it. And so maybe I would have left them a review. Like, are they gonna know that I'm reimbursed?
Well, it is, I've done that.
Yeah.
And, it was for a baby bike. And, they wanted a review from me.
Yeah.
And then they gave me like a $50 in gift card. And, they wanted to mail me whatever, but I said, can you do a gift card? And they did. And, with my first one, I had no idea how to do my email, but.
So you can like do it another way.
Yeah, but just one time.
Right.
I did something, but I didn't know.
Okay, thanks. That's good to know. Don't do it.
Yeah, I did.
Let me see this. Passion fruit dot.
That's all right. We're not going to use slides today anyways.
FROOT, yeah.
I did.
Tom, and you use this?
Sort of, stuff for my travel thing, so I have not a travel newsletter, but that's an advertising on travel.
Yeah. How many viewers do they have around?
Everyone's different, so it's gonna have like 80,000 people, so, and their open rate was like 5 to 10%, so it just depends on what you're willing to pay.
All right, who has any other
Feel
questions?
like it worked for you?
But does it work great? No, I think it's also like, it's fun.
You got a question from the stream? What do you got?
But eventually, you know, if you want pizza, you know what kind of pizza you want, so it should have that.
How would you start an Amazon business in Europe? Many different languages, currencies, many different cultures, regulations, where to focus?
I would choose one and go all in on that one to start, assuming that you don't have an Amazon business anywhere else. Just pick one. There's a tool, and go figure, my projector went out. Man.
I noticed when you play with your HDMI port, pick up, maybe on plug back in your PC, or Mac,
PC.
not PC.
No?
There it is.
Oh, let's hope it stays. But there's this. For e-commerce stuff, you could either find a whole bunch of AI tools if you want to do like a whole bunch of random things. But the people that created this is Alibaba. The back-end tools, I've been testing the heck out of this. And for like if you wanted one spot to get some AI to do like anything you can think of that you'd want to do e-commerce related, this is it. Currently, again, to be fair, I think spending a bunch of time right now per day hunting around on a bunch of AI is not the most effective use of your time. But, so you may know one of these areas like virtual try-on, that you might know of an AI that you're like, wow, I have this one that's like killer for that. And I'm not saying that some of these standalone are the best in the world out there. I will say Alibaba's behind it. I will say a lot of the other ecom sellers that I know that are testing the heck out of this say they've not found anything else close to this for the stuff that they do. So I'd recommend trying it. I don't have an affiliate, I don't have anything like that. Alibaba says they would put something together in the future. I'm not gonna hold my breath on it, but even though they've been amazing so far, I'm saying it now just to actually try it. Some of the ones that I love the most, I actually have a podcast that's coming out Monday with the person that runs Pick Copilot. You have to be a little patient. I mean, this person's from China. They did their best. English is not the strong language here, but we take it really slow. I don't dive as deep on certain questions because, you know, I wanted to keep it very narrow and so the person didn't get overwhelmed. Brilliant person. Her name's Heaven. I'm sure that's not the real name, but Heavenly. And some of the stuff we're doing with this is just wild. I'd love for you guys to use it to get some feedback. I think as far as pricing too, it's, well, I don't want to go into my account, but I think it's like $3.40. That, I mean, no, like it gives you an amount of coins or credits, and then those credits are going to last. They last a while, but some of the higher ones that go up to like $7 in credits just give you access to some additional features that are just nuts. But going. Yes, so that's why, that's exactly the one that I've been playing with a lot that I was gonna say for the question about countries. You technically could get anything you need done in any country, in any language, with whatever assets you have already. Audio, video, or text based on your creative, like text overlays, and this will do all that. Another thing that this is really good in is you can get your competitors and say they have like right here, like style clone, and say you're like, wow, I really love their branding guidelines. I really love all their lifestyle stuff. You can just grab that, put it in there, and then upload yours and say, create a style guide for me. So like anything that they have going on with theirs, it'll be created for you. Something that I'm looking at here as obviously we create A+. We create A+ sometimes and sell it. We've done some tests, and I want to find some faults with it and say it's not as good as us. It's there, like it's there, and I think it's very possible that in the next month or two, like you don't need to go anywhere to get your A+ done with what I've seen Pick Copilot do, especially since the people behind it on the A+ content side specifically are some of the best in the space that I know of and have heard of when it comes to A+. And Pick Copilot hired them and paid them to put in the templates and help train what they already had as an amazing thing. So this is really, really high converting stuff that I've seen. So I think you might have like an A+ content team in your pocket here with Copilot. So check it out, give me feedback. I'm messing around with it a bunch. Well, the team's messing around with it a bunch, and then I see something, I'm like, there's no way this created that. So I'm popping in there and doing it. So I would check it out.
What is that, pickcopilot.com?
Yep. Yeah. You know, I think at Co-Create, this was their big like unveiling at Co-Create, and I was like, really? Because it seems like all these different, like everybody and their mother's coming out there and they got this new thing that's going to change your business, and they just drop the word AI in front of it, and it's really just a distraction. So when they did it for this one, I was a bit underwhelmed in the beginning, and they introduced me there to the person behind it, and I was like, oh, I just played my nicely. I was being polite, but I was like, the last thing I need in my life right now is somebody else telling me how their AI is going to change the world, and this is powerful. Like, it's worth mentioning.
What's the pricing? Click on that pricing tab.
For some reason, it's making me. Yeah, and I have too many. It shouldn't do that though. You could pull it up. Maybe they just. I mean, this literally had to have changed like in the last day or two, because that it might be email blocking. But you could just, I mean, put whatever email you look at. But again, there's a free plan that will give you some credits to play around with any of the stuff that they have. for like a listing worth. But then for like $3, you get an amount of credits that you can test everything else. You don't have to get stuck on a monthly, but either way, it's very affordable. My logic is that, and they've not said this, but my logic is the better they can make you at selling your products, the more you might use Alibaba, right? Obviously, if you buy something from them and you do bad creative and a bad picture and it doesn't sell, you're gonna go out of business and you're not gonna work with them. So, okay. So for the question, Fernando, about the Europe, I mean, this will help a lot. I was talking with a company, really cool robotics company. By the way, am I the only one that didn't know this? Do you know, we know about the Roombas, which I have hidden under there in that hole, like those devices that go out and clean on their own, those magical things. Did you know they have one for walls and mirrors? Okay, I feel better now. So,
They have one for grass. They have one for grass now. Have you seen those?
a lawnmower?
That's a robot lawnmower.
They have robot lawnmowers.
Yes.
That is,
They have the robot one for the pool walls too. Have you seen that?
pool wall, yeah, pool walls, yeah. But you get them and it looks like I've never used one, but it's like a handle and it's got a scrub pad underneath and you could like scrub in the showers and stuff, right? So it looks like that, but it has two round wheel looking things on it that are like plungers, but also do something else. And you just go up to a mirror or a wall, like dusting or whatever, and you pop it on, you turn it on and it stays. And I was like, man, is this a new invention? Like, but no, they're not even the only brand that does it. I'm thinking you're gonna see them here, because I'm like, why am I paying for somebody to clean the mirrors and the glass and everything in the front? Like, why am I doing that? Yeah, but they clean the walls and the mirrors. It's nuts.
That's a great Christmas gift idea. I'm looking for it now.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Well, if you're gonna buy one, look up a brand called Osoji, O-S-O-J-I. If you're gonna buy one, yes.
O-J-I.
I'm about to buy one from Osoji. It's nuts. Yeah. And here I was thinking one day they're gonna invent something that flies and that can kind of dust. And they just like, who am I? You know? Yeah.
So, Fernando just gave me pickcopilot.com. So you get the free version and it gives you 25 P coins. I don't know what that means, but I guess that's free.
Pilot coins, I think is what they're
Pilot
calling
coins,
it.
just, yeah, I get it. And then if you wanted their pro version for $3.29 a month,
Yeah.
you get 2,400 P coins. Or if you wanted to get it for the whole year and you really liked it, it was only $89.88 for the whole year.
Bonkers. Yeah. I'm telling you, I don't have enough. I don't have an affiliate on this. I would get into whatever. Yeah, I don't like. They said they're going to create one for me, and I'm. It's rare that I find something that I'm willing to push, and I can make a kick on it that I really. I'm telling you, jump in there and look at it. It's. Get the free one too. Like, you don't need to go beyond the free one to test it out and to make sure it's working for your business. And at minimum, go in there and update all that stuff in your catalog that you've been like, yeah, I know it could be better, but I don't really have the resources to go at it and do it. But like, it's really good. It's. I would call it e-commerce specific.
Are they still in beta or?
No, they're out. Yeah, they're out. And me, like an idiot, I was invited and in their beta forever, and I was like, you know, if I showed you my inbox of the amount of people I get pitched every day that pitch me on how their AI would change the business of everyone in this group, and I just need to give them the opportunity to, and I'm like, yeah, you just want all their email addresses and all that stuff. Just sure, yeah, no. Okay, any other questions? No, okay.
I've been doing, dabbling with more and more giveaways,
Yeah,
but, King Sumo by AppSumo.
yeah,
$49 lifetime.
yeah.
It doesn't seem to play well with Facebook. Have you seen, a really strong app that works well with the giveaways?
Doesn't Facebook have a built-in giveaway now? If you're gonna do a giveaway now, I would use something like, again, I'm gonna go back to Creator Network. I think it's the best thing out there by far for what it does. I would go to Creator Network and I would connect something called Spark Loop and then build your email list and then use one of the features that's within Spark Loop. Because Spark Loop's gonna be primarily to like gamify your email and get people to like, oh, share this thing out with 2 or 3 people and get a mug. Most people don't use it. But there's some that are like power users and they get all like competitive and they're like, I'm gonna do anything for the mug and I'm gonna try to get the airplane flight to go meet the person, you know? And you just need like a percent of the people, which is what it comes out to be that actually do, to do it. But one of the other features within there that'll help you, I believe, do some giveaways. I would use that. Try as aggressively as possible to move to email. Yeah. I'm pro Facebook in a lot of different ways, but just, I would get aggressive about getting your email right. Yeah.
Carlos, can I share a tool that I'm using when I'm searching for domains? Instead of going to GoDaddy and you type in one thing and it comes up with .com and .org, it doesn't give you anything. Type in leandomainsearch.com. Have you ever used that before?
I've heard of it.
leandomainsearch.com. And then what you do is you just type in whatever name you would want. So I don't know, Florida Windows or something, you know, for, I don't know, whatever name you want. And then it will give you a list below of all the .coms that are available that you may not have thought about before. So those are all .com searches for it. So I think it's an easier way to search and not get the nets and all that stuff. So
Cool.
pretty cool little site, right?
Is it safe?
What do you mean, is it safe?
It's like GoDaddy, if you type something, you're gonna take it.
Yeah, they get too many
It's just searching
searches.
and telling you what's available. You don't have to buy it from there.
Yeah, no, I think what she's asking is because what a lot of these sites do is they see, oh, a bunch of people are searching for this, and then they're like, let's go buy that.
Yeah, but look what it just did. It pulled up, like which one, like if you scroll down that list, there's probably 100 variations of it. So FloridaWindowsShop.com, the FloridaWindows.com, who's gonna buy all of those? I'm just telling you, it's a place for you to find ideas all in one place.
All right, let me take this off because I don't have the computer connected. I thought you were gonna be here before, and I'm like, where is he? No. All right. What are we gonna do? Okay, we're gonna switch over to the topic of the week this week. We're not gonna be using the screen, I don't think, so it's just us talking. I can't tell you that one of my goals, it's not a big goal, but one of my goals for next year, ironically because of this, is I hate using slides, so I just avoid them. And anywhere I'm invited, there's a lot of times I get invited to go like present somewhere or speak somewhere, and they're like, well, you gotta submit slides, and I'm like, no, I'm not going. Waive it or I'm not going. And at this point, I think there's some that I would like to go, and I'm just being stubborn because I don't want to get some slides done. But now with AI and the team that I have that will do it, I'm thinking about just learning, because what happens is it throws me off my rhythm when I'm talking, and I like freestyling and I like pulling from stories, but if I have slides here, I feel confined to the slide. But yeah, maybe you will see some slides from me in some presentations next year. But
Gamma.ai does it, PowerPoint.
which one? Which one?
Gamma.ai.
Oh, yeah. All right. A lot of stuff to cover with goals, so I made a ton of notes and I have a ton of resources that I want to share. Starting off with, I'm hoping everybody realizes this, but this is by far the most important thing in your business. Like this goal setting and having like an idea of like what direction you're going, like measure, like without it, you don't know whether you're succeeding or failing. You're just like, oh, I'm not going cash flow negative. That must mean I'm succeeding. Like that's it. And that's really crappy. Like we shouldn't be doing that. Over the years though, my approach towards how I set my goals has changed a lot. So a lot of what I have here is how I'm approaching it now, and very similar to what I was doing the last few years. And then a lot of pitfalls that I found around goal setting and sticking to my goals, and I'm going to share those as well, because I think sometimes we spend too much time talking about the importance of goals and not enough time on like checking in with your goals and setting yourself up so you have like a remote chance in hell of being able to hit them. And when you should just call it quits on a specific goal and be like, well, something changed, this is no longer a priority, and change it. There's a few books that heavily influence what I'm going to talk about today. You might, if you wanted to write down some books, and if you just did these books next year, I think you would be in a much better place when it comes to goal setting in your business. But one of them, I'll put at the top, although I find it close to impossible to implement 100% of this in your business. In certain areas, though, I really do try. And it would be a good North Star, and that's Traction by Gino Wickman. So that's kind of gonna be like, I would even say that most business books that you talk about scaling or SOPs and how you should approach it, if they're good, they probably took a page from Traction and Gino Wickman. It is a dense read, in my opinion. It's a great audio book and it's a great physical book, but I recommend you do both, because it's not something that you read once and that's it. But I'm gonna call it like an operating guide, or maybe, I don't think I'm exaggerating, but like an operator's Bible. Like you need something that you can look at and say, this is the system that we run in our business. That would be Traction. Anybody heard of it? No, okay, you've heard it. Okay, so you've heard it, yeah. So you wanna do it. Like if you're thinking there's one book I'm gonna read next year as my goal, because I'm not a reader, pick Traction, right? Bonus points if you finish it before January 1st, so just to be fair, when you're reading it, I think you can get discouraged because you're gonna be like, on L what? Like what meeting once a week? You know what I mean? Like, but it's just me. It's still worth reading even if it's just you. Like you need some kind of system or some kind of North Star to head towards. So that's one of them. Another one's gonna be the 12-hour work week, or the 12-week year by Brian Moran. And I think it's gonna be really important because it's gonna help you expose a lot of different things in your business that there's some principle or some mental model out there that says we finish things in the time allotted to finish them. I'm forgetting the name of it, but it's like, if you have an hour to do something, it takes you an hour to do it, right? If you have a week to do the same thing, it tends to take a week to do that same thing. So this is basically showing, and I'm not saying I think you should follow Traction, but the book goes in to say that if you were to turn the months into weeks and the weeks into days, once you built out your plan, you should be able to accomplish the same thing, so that it doesn't mean you goof off for the rest of the year. But it's a solid book. I recommend reading it. The third one is called 3-Hag Way. After Traction, I think it is the book that has had the greatest influence on how I approach
What was the title?
3, Hag, H-A-G, Way. 3-Hag Way.
Huge something goal.
Highly achievable goal. So a 3-year highly achievable goal. So it talks about BHAGs and 3-Hags, which is big, hairy, audacious goal, and a 3-year highly achievable goal. But 3-Hag Way is my second favorite business book out there if you're reading books about operating systems in your business, which is not exciting reading, right? And then the final one, not by far, of all the books I recommend, but that is highly influenced in what I'm talking about today, who I recently actually had an opportunity to get 3 hours of coaching with, is Tiago Forte, and it's Building a Second Brain. The book is phenomenal. It's gonna have a lot to do with your goals and staying on track for your goals.
What's the name again?
Building a Second Brain by Tiago Forte.
Brain?
Brain, like your brain, like you don't have a brain. Not you, I'm just saying in a sense. Tom's brain is bigger than yours. It's a sentence. Okay, so that's it with the books. Those are 4 books. I cannot emphasize enough how important they're gonna be, in my opinion, for like the operating system of your business, which has a lot to do with the goals that you're gonna be setting in your business. There's one thing that we had a meetup several years back. I don't know if it was pre or post COVID, but I also recommend somebody do, because we're gonna create these goals, and there's gonna be certain things that you put on here that you're not gonna hit. And sometimes that's just part of the process, right? I mean, I would rather you create something and come just short than you crush all of them in 6 months and you're just like playing Call of Duty with the next 6 months, right? But sometimes you're not hitting something because you're not the person that should be doing it. And one of the things that will expose that really quick, and I was very impressed with when we had the guy come by and present, is Gallup Strength Finder assessment. So if you want to treat yourself to a gift, get the Gallup Strength Finder assessment. I think it's going to be $39. It's going to take you 30 minutes, and you're going to do it. It's going to change so much. If you have a business partners or power couples, both of you should take it. And once you take it, it's going to let you know. I'm going to do such a bad job here. I almost don't want to say it. I just want to leave the suspense for you to take it. But it's going to show you're wrong in what you think your strengths and weaknesses are. This is going to expose them and put them on display. And it's also going to let you know, because you have those strengths, here are the pitfalls or basement weaknesses you have that you need to be aware, like you need to be like extra vigilant about, because they're a trap if you're around them. So there's other tests like it. I've been messing around with a bunch of them ever since I found this one. I've not found anything as comprehensive and that puts out an action plan like the Gallup Strength Finder assessment.
What's the name of the test?
Gallup Strength Finder assessment.
GALLUP.
If my, of all days for this thing to be acting up, but let me see. Gallup.
When you read the one about him, you're gonna go, that's exactly him, and he's gonna read the one about you, you're gonna go, that's exactly him.
Yeah.
It's so spot on. When you take the quiz, it's a very fast quiz, and it tells you to rate stuff from like 1 to 5, and if you don't give it a rating, it goes to the next question. So it scores that as like you didn't answer it quick enough. So
Yeah.
it gives you like, it really interactive in terms of feedback for you.
So
It's
we're not
pretty
gonna go too deep into this, so people on the stream, you don't have to, but you should be able to see a little bit of the screen. But it's gonna give you all of your stuff, like this is mine. And there's no right or wrong answers. It's not a pass or fail. It's just, it's really gonna show you and like the stuff that you can use. So for me, it lets me know that my top 5 are, no shocker here. Strategy, I'm strategic, learner, achiever, activator, and self-assurance. Like that's pretty accurate to what I am. And then the stuff that I'm the least, strong at also makes an absolute ton of sense.
Harmony.
When you look at harmony, no, you said harmony.
No, it's there.
It's in the mid-range. But this goes a lot further, because once you have this, I can now unlock for management. And at the end of the day, you do some form of management. Even if you're not like identifying in 2025 as a manager, you do some form of management in your company. So this, I'm gonna show you this one and then we're gonna move on from this because it's not about that. But because my top 10 themes are this, and by the way, they're scary accurate. Like you're gonna pull over in the car being like, there's no way, like that's possible. But because, where's my basements? I can show you. Oh, so for strategic thinking, it lets me know, yes, all these amazing things on why I'm a super, you're gonna feel like, yes, this is validation that I'm a super, this is my superpower in blank. But then, this is what you really wanna look at. How this theme could get in the way of your success. This is gold, right? And mine is because you can quickly evaluate options, others might not feel that you are considering every choice fairly. So there's been people in the group, friendships that I've had in the group, that over the years, they're no longer on talking terms with me because they feel like I wouldn't consider their suggestions on things, or that I wasn't giving them credit or something. And I'm here like, what? I'm like plugging you on everything I say if it comes from you, and that's like the opposite of me. But because I just reached the conclusion the way I do, that person interpreted it that way. Anyhow, you do this for you. Highly, I cannot emphasize enough how important I think this is. Okay? Has anyone done this, by the way? Did you ever do yours?
Not that one, but I've done other personality tests.
Do they give you 10 extra minutes when you take it, or you get the same?
Yeah, but if you've done like the Myers-Briggs or something, this is so much better. This
Yeah,
is
I find this
so
better
much
than Myers-Briggs.
Yeah,
That-
this is so much better.
I would do it. Okay, so, and then I guess in putting all this together, I got into what we're gonna talk about today. I got a little inspired and I saw a quote. I don't normally do quotes if this is your first time, probably the last time you hear me say it, but I think it's a Denzel Washington one, but it's goals without deadlines are just dreams. And it's so true. Like if you don't assign a deadline to some of these goals, and I'm gonna be talking about deadlines throughout this thing, that's all they are. So the deadlines here are gonna be very important. You need to write stuff down. That's it. I mean, pretty much everything else that I'm gonna say today is sort of meaningless if you don't write it down. It is, I don't know why, it's just like how we're wired as human beings. It's just not healthy to keep it in your head, and then it's also not, you're not gonna be able to track things as much as you're tempted to, right? She's smiling back there, I don't know if that's something she does, no? But you need to write things down. Personally, I prefer paper. I prefer pen and paper. The problem is, it's just gonna break. You don't have ideas only when you're sitting in front of your pen and paper, and more than likely, you're always gonna have your device. I really hate that that's the case, but it is true. And with cloud and all that other jazz, you need something, you need a thought capture device, right? I think that's what Tiago Forte calls it. You need a thought capture device. And because you're gonna set your goals, you need to stay focused on these goals that we're gonna talk about. But you know what? You're gonna be walking Canton Fair with us, and Ramon's gonna see the waterproof socks, and he's gonna tell everybody how the waterproof socks are the next best product that you should launch. And then next thing you know, you put your goals to the side and you're on waterproof socks and you're researching waterproof socks. You need somewhere that you know safely that you can get that idea and put it safely away. You know it's safe. You know you're gonna constantly be able to go back and visit this thing and keep fleshing it out when you have time. It's not gonna get lost if you don't act on it right now, but it's almost gonna give you permission to be able to continue focusing on the goals that you should be focusing on right now. So it's really important. Without it, your goals are just gonna fall apart. Everybody with me so far? Feel free to disagree, too, by the way. I'd love to kick you out. I'm just kidding. Okay.
You want to show the Milo note, which is what we use, what I love to use.
Yeah, you could use mine. And by the way, yes, let me say that. You can use anything you want. Like, if you want to do the paper, go ahead. If you want to use, as a matter of fact, I'm finding myself using Notion more and more. I really don't like the learning curve on it, right? But I can get to a spot where I can see the basics. I used to use Trello, like power user Trello. So like, it doesn't matter what you wind up using. I'll pop up in Milanote now that you could just do so many cool things. I just have images in here of like thumbnails, but there's like so many different types of thumbnails that you can, there's inspiration boards that you can create, notes you can create, lots of cool things. But whatever you want to use for an image capture device, use it. I moved to Notion only, like regretfully, kind of like I moved to Slack, because everything else just started breaking. But
It's not about keeping goals, it's just about
we're not, the tool, when I say an idea capture system, I'm not talking about for you to put your goals in. I'm talking about once you have your goals, more than like, it's a good chance that everybody here has ideas. For some of you, it might be product ideas. For other people, it might be hiring ideas, or like, you just have these ideas. Like, that's probably the one thing we all have in common here. You need a spot to safely put them so you don't give them too much of your resource, which is time. Like, you need to know they're safe, that you can revisit them whenever you want, and that thing can't be the hamster wheel that wheel in your head that you keep visiting. It's gonna burn you out. And it's gonna distract you from your goals. Because the only way to eliminate the hamster wheel is to go ahead and validate it or discard it. And that time that you spent doing that, it's too much. So yeah, use whatever you want. I just found regretfully that paper is gonna fail you. If you have a system where you always have something to write on, and you wanna write it there and then take a picture and then have AI like put it as notes at the end, I mean, do whatever you want. But at some point you're gonna lose your notepad. I know that because we have a lost and found full of notepads at Wizards of Ecom that people have left over the years. And I don't ever look in them, but some of them, after I know they've been here for a few years and the person never came back, I've taken a peek. And man, I was like, is that what he got out of what I said? Like, you do not need ClickFunnels for arbitrage, you know, like, okay. Another thing, and I had to set it up this way because I feel like if I just jumped ahead, I would have just jumped right into some goals. And without some of this stuff, you're not gonna get it. But I wanna introduce you to something from Traction. One of the many things from there, but it's called Rocks. And this is pretty critical. You don't have to call it Rocks. You can look at it as micro steps, if you will. But basically, your goal, let's just say your goal is, I want to launch my first PL January 31st. Okay? Let's go with that. You need to how do you know next week if you're on track, right? You need to know that to launch that thing on January 31st, there's a whole bunch of other micro steps or rocks that you need to be hitting to be able to get there. You with me on it? All right. So if you can have any goal you want, but you need to know what those steps are to get there. Because if you have a 3-year goal, you know what? I'll tell you one. In 2021, I saw something somewhere of somebody doing this run with a weighted vest, pull-ups and push-ups, and somebody told me it was called a Murph. There's some workout thing called a Murph, right? It's supposed to be like one of the hardest things you can do. And I was even heavier than I was there, and I just got motivated like only a, fat guy can. And I was like, I'm gonna do a Murph. I know it's hard, I'm gonna set a realistic goal. I'm gonna do it in November of 2025, right? I just circled back, and my workout partner here is looking at me like, you ain't doing a Murph, right? and I just looked at it today and preparing for stuff to kind of like call out some of the goals I did not hit. And I was like, man, I don't even know if I can do that many push-ups by November of 2025. Like, I'm way off. I'm not gonna hit that goal. And just ironically, I never set any rocks for that goal. At some point a year and a half ago, I should have started trying to practice doing pull-ups, right? So now with less than a year left, there's zero chance I'm gonna be able to hit my goal. And if I do, if I do try, the chances of me getting injured are very high. And in your business, that's probably gonna be extreme risks that you're gonna be taking and cutting corners to try to hit a goal, and it's gonna cost you to go bankrupt. It can cost your order defect rate to go through the roof. There's a bunch of different injuries that you can take in your business, all because I just didn't have rocks, all right? One other, and then we're gonna get into like how I structure goals, don't worry. But one other thing that I did that has really helped me hit my goals, I promise I won't stand on my little soapbox too long, is I noticed I wasn't hitting certain goals of mine, and I really tried to figure out where was my time going, because my excuse was the reason I wasn't hitting these goals, I just didn't have the time in the day. And it's very possible, I'm known to like overload myself with an unrealistic amount of goals to do. And what I saw was, I didn't have any time, but I did have about an hour and 30 minutes a day for TikTok. And I did have, 45 minutes for Instagram. 5 minutes here, not that I sat down and blocked it out. So I decided to remove it from my phone. I know this sounds so petty. First of all, it felt like I was going through withdrawals that first week to 10 days, which was a big sign to me that this is a problem. And you don't need to be, as a matter of fact, most of you may do a lot more on social media than even what I said, but I removed it from my phone, and I also, and I learned this from a coach, and then I also logged out of it on my device, because I found myself kind of like on autopilot, just gonna go log in, or push notification popping up, and I was like, oh my God, so-and-so closed that sale, he's so much more ahead of me now, and that just puts you in a bad mental state, or what's so-and-so doing? And now, it does not mean that I'm anti-social media. I mean, a lot of my business involves social media, but it's on my calendar, and I log in with a specific reason in mind. But to show you, even with that, I recently did some cool video content with Raul in the back. Say hi, Raul. And for that to happen, I was like, man, one of the things I was gonna do is I was creating a video ad for Wizards of Ecom, and I did it in Spanish. And my Spanish is very bad, right? Thank you. But my Spanish is very bad. So you have Raul behind the camera, with somebody else doing the camera, and Raul's like looking at me, trying not to laugh and make me feel good, because I'm like destroying the Spanish. But I was like, guys, you have to get a video recording of me that I can put on Instagram or send to my wife of me speaking Spanish. And we did. So then I wanted to see it. So I put Instagram back on my phone. I probably spent 3 hours on Instagram over the next 2 days. And I had to remove it again. So it's really, and it was such wow, it's been a while since I've done this, and like, this is distracting. So like, I think, in my opinion, give it a shot if you don't believe me, but I would remove social media from your phone. It is a very powerful business tool, but make sure you're using it and it's not using you, because it is definitely not help. Even if your goal was some goal on social media, I guarantee you that goal, for you to hit it, does not require you to be on social media the way you are. Remove it. Remove it from your device, let it be a tool in your arsenal, log out on your computer, and then go in when your calendar says you're going in because you're doing research. And then log out. Okay. How? Huh?
Very good tip.
Yeah,
I mean, all the notifications that you have on the social media.
all of them.
You
Well,
have it on your phone and remove all the notifications.
I remove it from the phone. It's just too much of a temptation. You know what, I would get up sometimes, and I'm up like, imagine getting up this early, get up like at 3:15 in the morning, and sometimes, every now and then, you sit down on the toilet. I'm not gonna get graphic with you guys. You sit down on the toilet, and the first thing you're like, oh. And you're like, just for a minute or two, right? And then I'm gonna go about my business. And the next thing you know, circulation in your legs is cut off, and you've been there for 30 minutes. You know what I mean? And you're like, oh no, can't do that. But I'm still up earlier than everybody else, so it doesn't matter, right? But if it's on the device, you're gonna check it out. But you know what you're gonna do when it's not on the device? You're still gonna do something with the device, but it's probably gonna be audible. It might be a podcast. You know, you might write something, I don't know, but just remove it, okay? It's not in line with your goals. How about that? All right, this is what I do for my goals. I think trying to set goals 5 years out is borderline waste of time, right? Just way too many things change. 3 years is like as far out, and that's far, and things are gonna change. But I think setting your goals for 5 years out is almost a waste of time. The reason I think that you should start there, though, just to really have a good shot at creating everything else, is it's gonna force you to really walk backwards. So what I'll do is I will break it out into goals for business, professional, whatever you want to call it. And start with 5. And at this point, it's more fantasy. It's more like, where do I see my business in 5 years, right? Maybe for you, it's retired. Maybe it's you exited. I don't know. But where do you see your business and your profession in 5 years? Financially, just where do you see yourself financially in 5 years? Like, what's going on with you, you know, energy pay off your credit card, whatever. There's no wrong answers. Like, whatever is unique to you. Where do you see yourself financially in 5 years? Tangible or physical goods. I'm not a very materialistic person, but I think it's important. This is the hardest one for me, by the way, is tangible goods, like toys, buying yourself adult toys. Like, that's a difficult one for me. For some of you, it's not. No, not adult toys. Sorry. That is a very difficult one for me too, but no, but I'm talking about like your Lamborghini or whatever you're into. Like, I'm very, you could tell, I'm very basic. So this is a hard one for me, but you gotta force yourself to do it. So like, call it tangible, call it whatever. Like, what are the things that you're gonna have that you want in 5 years? For example, if you said 5 Lamborghinis, well, on year 1, you probably should have at least one of them, right? Personal health. This is one I neglected for a long time. Last year, I finally worked this one in. I regret not having it there. That's why Ramon and I go every day. Well, I go every day to the gym. He goes 3 or 4 days a week, right? 4. So the gym every day. Massive change for me. Just to give you, I'm saying this more of like, so you have ideas of what to do. I got my blood work done a bunch this year. Bruce is a wealth of information when it comes to certain food things that I've cut out, and they've had a huge benefit already for me. Gotten on testosterone. My weight stuff I've attacked with Manjaro, because it was just like, I have way too much weight, let me attack it. It's been great. A bunch of different things that I've done to like, and these were all goals to kind of hit, to attack from a bunch of different angles my health. I'll start a trainer coming up soon. So whatever fits for you under that, but set one. Relationship, family. This is also a hard one for me. Sadly, it seems to be like what gets the remaining part of my energy after everything else. So one of my big changes is to sort of change that. But relationship and family, you got to factor that in. Otherwise, you have this amazing list of business goals, and there's no time for anything else in your life. It's a great recipe for divorce. The, and passion projects. I've never called it passion products for mine, I just call it hobbies. But I think some of you might have pushed back and said, I don't have hobbies, you know, I'm just hustle mode on, you know? So no, passion projects, whatever it is, just your passion projects, your hobbies, like have them. So think about where you want to be in 5 years on those things. And I totally understand here, this is borderline fantasy because so much is gonna change, but like, do you have 9 kids? Are you living the dream and have no kids? You know, are you traveling every month or every week? Are you like, what's going on? Do you have like 3 charities? There's no wrong answers, literally, as to what this can be. But once you've done it, and this is why I like to start here, because it starts coming together, is you're immediately now gonna jump out and say, okay, for me to be there in 5 years, what is it? What are my 3-year goals? Right? And this is gonna get difficult. Because if your 5 years went way out in la la land, you're now gonna be like, well, if I'm here in 3 years, I am nowhere, there's no way that I'm gonna be able to in 2 more years hit my 5-year goal. So rather than just starting at 3 years, that's why I like to go out to the 5. And then when you're in the 3-year goal range, you could start making those adjustments to both your 5 and your 3 and start coming down to like, I don't say reality, I mean shoot for the stars still, but like it's gonna ground you a little bit when you get to this part of the exercise, right? Like Ramon, you wanna do, was it 10,000 SKUs in 5 years? You wanna have a big catalog?
I've done that.
Okay, no, once you've done that on the 3, no shocker, I like to do it for the 2, and you're gonna do the same thing for the 1. And this, you should be able to look at this and see like this progression. Sometimes you're gonna have to go back, or at least I do, I have to go back and I have to adjust one because I'm like, well, you know, if I'm gonna be here in 3, but I'm here in 2, this doesn't make sense. Like I need to be more aggressive at 1 to be able to hit 2. So you're gonna have a lot of that going on. Once you get out of 1 though, this is where it starts getting like rubber to road, in my opinion. I used to do every 3 months, we'd evaluate our goals. And we'd have like these quarterly check-ins to make sure we're on track to hit our annual goals. I find that doesn't work for me. If it works for you, go for it. So I was like, let's go to monthly. Monthly wasn't enough time, right? You needed to give more time to get some stuff to work. I found the sweet spot for me is 6 weeks. It doesn't mean that there's no check-ins. We're gonna get into like meetings and how to track your goals later, but 6 weeks, and we call them 6-week sprints. We'll set up a 6-week sprint. And the reason for that too is if something goes, imagine if you did a 3-month check-in and something went wrong and you didn't hit it. Well, 25% of the year is gone. Like you're really behind the 8 ball now. With 6 weeks, you still have time to make a bunch of changes and pivot to stay on track and hit your 1-year goal. So I love 6-week sprints. Those are the most important, for me, maybe not the most important. Yeah, for me, they're the most important meetings that we have. It lets us know, like, for the next 6 weeks, these are the goals that we're on. Our weeklies will be more of like, let's refocus. We're not going to hit. This is what we're doing on a day-to-day or this week. But our 6-week sprints are my favorite. Does anyone do anything like that in their business, by the way? Do you have any meetings? Like, what meetings work for you?
3 months.
You do 3 months. Yeah. And do you find that, not that you always hit them, but do you find that when you don't hit them, that you're like, wow, I could have figured that out in 10 weeks. Yeah.
You could have righted the ship at some point.
Yeah, you could have it seems like, it feels like 3 months was too, I had to go to 6 weeks. I'm not saying a quarterly meeting's not bad, but again, whatever works for you. Anybody else? No?
We have weekly product review meetings.
Yeah.
Development meetings, but it's a little different. But
Yep.
I mean, if you're not doing, especially if you're developing a product, and you want to talk about pivoting, you're going to have to discover quickly whether or not you're going in the right direction. You're going to waste a lot more time.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I have some like meetings or like the types of weekly meetings to make sure you're gonna be on your goals, and the types of meetings that we do. then I'll talk about it. But yeah, for something like that, I would totally do a weekly. This is more of like, I want to be here in a year because this is where I need to be to hit my 3 or my 5.
I'm just saying it's a little more refined with the product than an overall long-term goal.
Absolutely. The other thing about a 6-week goal that I didn't find with 3 months and 4 weeks wasn't enough or a month wasn't enough is it forces you to really be ruthless with what you're prioritizing. Because 3 months for me gave me okay, there's time. 3 months always felt like there's time, whereas 6 weeks was not. Okay, 6 weeks, you're almost always saying that's next month. Like that just feels so much closer psychologically for me to use. Okay, so I got I have my 5, my 4, my 5, my 3, my 2, my 1, and my 6-week goals. The tool that and I've done these for business, professional, financial, tangible, personal health, relationship, family, and passion projects. The next thing I do is I create a new calendar. So just whatever calendar you want to use. So I'll use a Google Calendar. I'll create a new calendar. And let's say that I put in, I want to learn guitar. That's fine. And by 5 years, I want to have a hobby band. You know what I mean? Like, and I break this down and it's like, well, for me to do that, I need to get a guitar. I need to find someone that does lessons and make sure that they can come to me because I don't have time to just go to them. Like that's kind of where I'm at in my 6-week goal on this. And I'm gonna do lessons twice a week for only 30 minutes. So what I do is I go in and I pop it in my calendar, this fake calendar right now. This is not gonna impact anything I got going on, and you add it in. And then you go down and you start inserting everything that you just put here because your calendar is gonna keep you honest. Block out sleep time, put in your lunch, block it out, and you get to see quickly how unrealistic some of these goals really are. Because you're limited by 24 hours in the day. So I will force myself to go in, and I get crazy with this. I add emojis on them. I want to make it as playful as possible. The Dungeons and Dragons side of me will want to make it almost like a campaign, and I'll put a lot of cool stuff, and I'll look at this, and quickly I'm like, well, this doesn't fit. I can't do the trainer, go to the kids' jiu-jitsu, homework twice a week, learn guitar. And what were these singing lessons to get better at a podcast? Well, you know what? This is no longer a goal now. This needs to get pushed out. So the calendar is what's going to keep you really honest here. And at some point, if you use a calendar, which I think you should, at some point you could just activate it. I think everyone, if you're not using a calendar, like, if you're not using a calendar, I think someone should sit down with you and get you to use a calendar. Like it's critical.
It's something that we're talking yesterday. Yes, adding goals and that you realize you can't hit means pushing them out. But what if you add goals that you definitely want to do? How do you choose when not to? And that's the hardest part for me. How do you choose when not to do so that you have space to do the thing that you want to add? Because adding is easy. Moving is a hell of a lot harder.
Well, for me, let me repeat the question. So how do you know? How do you figure out what needs to be added and what removed? Basically. So the first step of that is going to be, again, you get a little bit of that when you create this 5-year fantasy that you want. 3 years is going to force you to be like, whoa, well, billionaire means I'd have to be here, and you do the math back and you're like, I don't even have an idea that tracks with this. You know what I mean? So like, let's scratch that. So some of the elimination happens there. Then the next major one, and this is where like, this is going to be the graveyard of a lot of the goals you put down, is when you force yourself to go to the calendar. All of a sudden I'm like, there's no way we're gonna add 2 additional meetups per week. I'm gonna go to jiu-jitsu. There's no way I'm gonna add all this, right? It can't happen. So it starts getting eliminated.
So maybe the answer here is it all starts with putting absolutely everything into a calendar.
Everything. Well, everything that you decided that should be a goal. Right.
Well, you did, right?
Right. So but when you open up the calendar, you initially go in there and you add sleep, you add eat. These are the things that are they're going to stay. Like this is happening. Later on, I'll talk about is I add creative before reactive. So my first meeting with me in the morning it's a meeting with me, is called creative versus reactive. And the main goal here is, well, a lot easier now that social media is not on the phone. There's no social media. There's no going in my Slack. I fight hard every day to not look in my WhatsApp. Stay out of your email. Like, that is gonna cause you to be reactive to the rest of the day. Like, that is gonna set the tone going for the rest of the day. And God forbid there's a suspension in there or your card decline. I mean, whatever's going on, like, don't get reactive. Get creative. At least set the tone for the rest of the day. So like, you have your, for us it'd be get up. Sometimes you go to the gym. So gym, creative versus reactive. Breakfast, take kids to school. Bookend the other side with, you know, I don't know if you have church, I don't know if you're sleeping again. Put that in. Put the things in there that just has to happen, or you're divorced, or with everything that's already there. These things exist. You're not, this isn't luxury. Like, this is what your life is right now. And then go in and add all these cool goals. Add all these cool things that you added, right? Just put them in. They're gonna, if they start overlapping, it's gonna happen. And you immediately, well, I guess there's no way that I can do lunch, jujitsu, and singing lessons, you know, at the same time. So I guess it's gonna force you to remove, but put it all in the calendar. If you're like, I've learned of these 4 different meetings that you should have with your team every week, and they're an hour and a half each, and you have to have them because I believe it. But you go to your calendar, and you don't have 4 1.5-hour slots where everybody can get. Like, that's a big problem. You can't just put your head in the sand and pretend that's gonna go away. Like, your calendar's gonna keep you honest. You with me on this? Are you same page? You don't feel like I've gone off the reservation? Okay. So, I would even say that the calendar is one of the more powerful tools that I have, is your calendar. And we don't think about it as a tool, it's kind of like it exists. But it's one of the more powerful things you can do. Color code it, I'll have like my personal.
What do you use,
Google. I think Google Calendar is one of the best out there, yeah. So now you've forced everything, now you put everything into your calendar. I'm hoping at this stage that you left tiny buffers, right? Like, if you're gonna be in the gym from 5 to 5:30, you shouldn't be doing 5:30 to 6 jujitsu 5 blocks away. I don't know why I'm harping on jujitsu, right? So like, that magic has not appeared yet. You also, one that I see people miss a lot, and they're like, I have my schedule perfect, but the only thing I don't have is, it seems like every week there's about an hour worth of errands to run. I was like, yeah, that's gonna happen. Yeah, you got to plug it in. You get to go back, and if your schedule was like choke worthy, and you, huh? Absolutely, absolutely. So once you have that, and you're looking at this, and you're like, wow, I somehow made all the Tetris pieces go. My calendar's full. I feel like I'm living my best here. I'm gonna crush my goals. I have a series of questions that I now ask myself, right? So these are the questions that I ask myself. For me to pull this off, yep.
I have a question for Carlos and Tom, and also Ramon. How many hours do you sleep per day?
I've pushed mine up to 7.
7? Is it like
I didn't used to do that though. For most of the time, most of the last 10 years, I do 4 to 5.
But do you do the 7 all the time, or you just break, you have a...
I'm being a lot more disciplined about the 7 now. Just, again, prioritizing health. Everything I've read says 8, actually. But like,
7 is enough.
7 has been more than enough for me, and
what's your sleeping quality?
my sleeping quality is great now. I use his product. I don't know if he says it, but I use his product when I sleep. Can I say it or no?
Yeah.
You say the name.
Bongo.
Yeah, I use the Bongo, yeah. I use the Bongo for him to sleep. I also use like a black silk eye mask. I'm taking sometimes CBD, sometimes I take magnesium. I take these things called Copacom, which are these drops. Like, I put in a lot into like testing a bunch of stuff to see how I can sleep. I use it.
I was just gonna say, you know what I think has really helped me is learning how to do meditation.
Yeah.
And only, doesn't have to be an hour long, it can be 5 minutes, 1 minute. 1 minute.
Yeah, I actually touch on that. I know, I agree with you 100%. Yeah, that's sometimes becomes very difficult, but what's that saying? Well, when you talk about meditation, it's like, I don't have time to meditate 30 minutes, so like then meditate an hour, right? Yeah.
I go to bed at 10, I wake up at 5 every morning religiously after reading a book called The 5 a.m. Club. You just get up between 5 and 6, and usually nobody in the house is up, and that's my hour for me. So my hour for me kind of dovetails on what they do. The first thing I do is I just sit my butt still. I don't get on a phone. I don't want to distract anything. And my meditation to me is not some transcendental meditation, some kind of word or whatever. I just sit there, and whatever kind of thoughts come to me, whatever my day, that's meditation for me. And then I'll do something spiritual, read a passage out of the Bible, and then do something in terms of something that I'm excited about, read something that I want to read. And then I'll kind of get on with my day. And that dovetails into another book I called The One Thing. What's that one thing that gets you going, that causes you to have a successful day? And in my experience, putting those three things together helps me have a better day.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the one. Two books together, The One Thing and The 5 a.m. Club, to me have been transformative for me. So, and the meditation thing to me, if you ever read a book called Tools of the Titans, it's by Tim Ferriss. It's like this giant book, and inside of there's all these amazing, successful billionaires and stuff, and what you have as like a common thread is they all meditate. All of them. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh,
For me, I don't talk about it much. I mean, Tom touched on it, and I feel like it's a good point. Now I feel guilty for not saying it. I'm not, and we stay away from this topic in the group just for obvious reasons, but I'm not like this religious type or anything like that. But I do feel like I have a very strong relationship with God. For me, prayer and meditation is very closely put together. So that's like my centering time and my time to have my relationship. So I do that in the mornings. A lot of the times I just call it meditation, kind of like, I don't want to say I do a diary because that might be too girly, so I have a journal. You know what I mean? Like, so like, I play with those words, but to me they're very closely related.
I think it depends on if it has a lock on it. If it has a lock on it,
Right,
it's a diary.
a little heart lock on my business journal. I have to make my journal like as masculine looking as possible, just so that I don't like, what's going on? Huh? Never too late, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm gonna get beat up on. You never know who's on the stream too, because it's like, oh my God, it's 2024. Did I just get our whole meetup canceled? You know what I mean? All right. So I now ask myself, did that help? Did that question help, by the way? Yeah. But you could be a night owl or a morning person. To me, I'm like, I don't understand how night owls function. But whatever your thing is, I've been so anti-sleep for so long, but I just decided I'd like to live past 55, so I need to start doing some things right. And sleep, supposedly, it seems like the only thing that everyone agrees on that is kind of important. So I'm embracing everything that I possibly can to try to get better at it. Okay, so at this point, when I have this calendar, this perfect Tetris, which is not perfect at this point, trust me, I ask myself, to pull this off, do I have the right team in place? This is the first question you're going to talk about. And if you are the only person, you do not have the right team in place. So one of the things I'm going to tell you that you really, really, really need to be looking at, even if it's part-time, even if it's something, but you need a team member or some team members. Some of you need a lot of team members. Like, you want to get one. Let that be a VA. If it's more scalable for you, let it be domestic. Whatever the case may be, but you need something. And maybe that's one of your goals this year, is to actually get a team member. I don't know if it's an assistant, a general virtual assistant, whatever the case may be, you need a team member. It's a very strong topic throughout next year, yeah. Virtual assistants. I look back and it was one of the topics that we didn't touch this year, like almost at all, but I got a lot of cool topics. Like, that's gonna be very specific to finding virtual assistants, when you should hire virtual assistants, strategies for scaling that out, a lot of stuff. So once you ask if you have the right team in place, you then know the next logical one is, do we need to hire? So again, if you don't have anyone, it's yes, you do need to look for someone. Let that be one of your goals, like get past that fear factor you have and that trust issue you have about hiring someone. When did Stefano get here? How long have you been here, Stefano?
Like 30 minutes.
Oh, okay, sorry, I didn't see you, bro. Yeah. How long do you sleep?
Like 7?
7?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool hat.
Thank you.
Yeah. You need to now, I like to take a couple days to do this one. To be honest, I don't just do it right afterwards. Is this too ambitious? And is everything you set here too ambitious? And I'm talking about not the 5-year or the 3-year. At this stage, I'm talking about your 6-week sprint. Like, is it too ambitious? Again, I don't think there should be high stress, like abnormally high stress, that by 9 a.m. tomorrow on your 6-week thing, you have to hit everything has to be done, but you also should not be finishing it in week 4. So it just, when you're looking at something like that, that usually means there's usually a little something that needs to be carried over to the next week. At least that's the sweet spot that I found, that you couldn't quite get to, but you were aggressive enough. Your team doesn't feel like it's a toxic environment where you're cracking the whip. Your loved ones still feel like you're engaged. So you know, are they too ambitious or are they too conservative? I like to now also look at this and say, okay,
How do you know? How do you know?
you're only gonna know, like, how do you know? So you're only gonna know by two ways. One is gonna be, if you have a team, in that 6-week meeting, everyone must have their video on. On the other times, they must have their video on. So for me, it's the body language. If I'm looking at them and they're all kind of like, oh my God, like, that's it. There's no life happening in the next 6 weeks. And I also make sure to create an environment that, I guess, empowering, that it's like, you could totally tell me that this is too much. Like, I want you to tell me this. So the team's gonna tell you. And then the other one is, okay, but that goes into, do you have the right team? If you have a bunch of team members that are just yes men, or that you're like, I just need them to do steps 1 through 9 in that order at 9:15, not think, not do anything else, and you're paying them that amount, then that goes back to number 1. Do we have the right team to hit these aggressive goals? A lot of you might not have the right team to do that, but that you don't just gloss over 1. I like to now look at this and say, this is my 6-week goal. I know what my 1-year goal is, but let me, like, broad strokes look at this per quarter, because we all know how crazy Q4 can get. I want to plug in some timelines here, like Chinese New Year, heavy conferences that are happening. Like, I know I'm going to be in Chicago for PLMA. I know I might go to Prosper Show for this week. How is that going to impact those 6-week sprints and my overall hitting of the year? So at this stage, I like to go in there and do that and really break down what's going to be my attack now that I've plugged that in. Because you're going to look at this and be like, well, I've planned out my days like this, but these 12 days here within the next 3 months, I'm not even in my hometown. I'm not going to be focusing on any of this. This is not in line. This math is not mathing. Next, I'll look at this and be like, okay, what software am I currently using that got me here that's not going to get me there, so I'm not carrying any bloated software costs on my business? At the same time, what is the new software that's out there? Should I reevaluate the software I have? Obviously not something that's like fully entrenched with everything that you're doing and has become part of like the central nervous system of your business and has a massive learning curve that you need to tackle before Q4, but also something that you're like, okay, I needed this to get here because 6 months ago, I was trying to find a lot of products, but I'm no longer trying to find a lot of products. I'm really narrowed my scope. So is this tool necessary anymore? Let's cut it. But now that I have gone narrow, what is a software that I could now get that is going to be more in line with me hitting this specific goal? Remember, you get a monthly subscription to some of these things, you can cancel them and resubscribe. Don't just carry the cost. So take a look at your software stack at this point and make sure that you have the right software in place, including not unnecessary software, to hit your goals, right? Sometimes I'll sit down with somebody and they'll show me like what's going on. I'll be like, let me see your software. Especially if they're coming to me and they're like, I'm like this. I'm super tight. I'm like, let me see your software and your expenses and what's going on. And it never fails. Somebody will show me something like, they have Jungle Scout, Helium 10, and I don't know, back in the day, like Viral Line. I'll have like all 3. And I'll be like, how often do you launch? Like, how often are you launching products? And how many SKUs do you have? And they're like, we do like 1 a year and we have 5 SKUs. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, well, I free up $200 right there per month. And then we go in there and like, you have a blog writer. And we're like, yeah, like, your domain ranking's 1. How long have they worked for you? For 3 years, but I only pay them this. And I'm like, get rid of them. Like, like just start culling, you know what I mean? So you wanna be really aggressive at this stage. What additional training do you or the team need to hit your goals? Keep in mind here, you wanna keep in mind not just what you need for this 6 weeks, but you're thinking about if you know this year you're gonna be doing X, and that's a new thing in your business, you got a lot to evaluate there. Are you gonna build this in-house? Are you gonna learn it? Are you gonna bring someone in and train them? Are you gonna get an agency? Like, there's a lot you need to cover so that when that time comes, you're ready. And if that's your goal in 12 months, you need to have been implementing it when. So like, you wanna look at, you know, what additional training that you're gonna need for you and or your team to be able to do that. Here's the next part, and this one is priceless, but it's who needs to be in the know, right? You can have all this done, and if you're the only person that knows about it, it'd be very easy to just erase, you know, me edit that to make it look better, right? You wanna let people know. I used to say, get in the chat and the meetup and tell everyone your goals so we can all hold you accountable. Don't do that. Yeah, don't do that. Not everybody is, like, you wanna go to the right people for advice, right? And if you just went super aggressive with creating these goals, for you and your team and your livelihood and your loved ones and all this crazy stuff, it's probably a semi-scary thing, you know? You're not in the most confident spot usually when you first set this up. You're full of like hope, but you don't need somebody who just had a horrible quarter to come in there and tell you why you're not even focusing on the right platform, you know, or this is why your product sucks, you know, or like, you don't want to deal with that right now. So don't go wide with it. Try to find, and by the way, you can reach out to me. I don't know that I have if I'll be the best person for that or have the time, but I can probably hear like what you have going on and connect you with the right person. I'll be like, you know what? Reach out to Cesar. You know, talk to Cesar because he's really, really good in this area. Reach out to Stefano. You know, reach out, you know, to different people. Like I'd probably be able to connect you with someone that I'd be like, you know, this is the person I think you should reach out to. But you really do want to try, when you are telling somebody you're looking for an accountability partner, it doesn't have to be don't make it too awkward, right? I found the ones that make it too awkward, and you're my accountability partner, we're meeting from this time and this time, that can work with the right people. But for some people, it's like too official and too like, you know, whatever. So have an accountability partner, consider a coach. Not all coaches are, like, you could have a coach that's like, you know, it makes sense for us to work together with you paying me, but like I have a few minutes here, and like, do some trades, kind of like hire one, do something, but get a coach, get an accountability partner, and look for people that are like fire starters. Look for those people around you that are gonna hear your idea and fan the flames on it, right? That's who you're looking for. Don't go wide. Make sure they fit one of those things if you're telling them. And there'll be a time later on when you're crushing it that you can come up here and present your success story on on the thing you did, right? But just trust me on that. You don't need your confidence shaken at that stage. All right, any questions so far on this? Because I'm gonna get into like the meetings that I have now to make sure that my goals stay online, that they're getting advanced, that it doesn't fall to the side like most of my New Year's resolutions of this year I'm going to get in shape, right? No questions on that? Okay, so many of these meetings I actually have, and after this, I plan on, after this meetup, everyone that attended, I'm just gonna go into meetup and I'm gonna send you a breakdown of the books that I recommended. I'm gonna give you some of these notes. Some of it's gonna look like chicken scratch, but I'm gonna send you the notes that I put together. They should ring a bell. The link to the podcast episode that I created. What'd you say? I'm sorry?
Make a presentation.
Nathan. Yeah, you know, I'm gonna do the slide deck, but not for this. But you know, it's funny, when I started this group, our first New Year's type, or going into transitioning a year, and this is back before you claimed I never even told you about it, right? But I was like, I actually didn't know what to talk about that day. I didn't know if anyone was gonna show. I didn't know anything. And it wound up being this massive turnout, like our biggest to date. And I was like, it's too big to have. We used to go in a circle, everybody, tell me about yourself and your business and what you're doing. You remember those days. And at some point, everyone was like, what am I doing here? It feels like an AA meeting, you know what I mean? Like, it's too long. And I was like, well, today we're gonna do goals instead of names. Like, everyone's gonna go say their goal. And everybody did it, and at the end, somebody just told me, they were like, well, Carlos, what about you? And I wasn't ready to have that pointed at me. So I said some like stupid answer, and then and the person's like, well, that's not aggressive enough, you know? So I was like, okay, well, what do you think? And then somebody knew that my fear that I used to tell people at the time was to be on video and do a live stream or a podcast, anything like that. And the person was like, you know what? I can't attend all the meetups. Why don't you start going live and doing this live? And I was like, I just broke out like in sweat. Like, I was terrified. And they held me to it. And because I had so many other fire starters and people accountable holding me on that, we stream all the time. I get on stream like it's nothing now. At one point, we still have it. If anyone was ever interested, I could like resurrect it. But we have a private Facebook group with live challenges. So it's like, do you remember? You remember them? You have to get like the first challenges, you have to go in there and you have to get your phone and you have to go live for 3 days in a row. You could talk about anything. And then you have a 7-day in a row, a 30-day in a row, but you had to go live, and it would help you get out of your shell and do it. And that was level 1. Level 2 was you had to do it with a webcam. And the other one is you had to do it outside in front of other people at the mall, like that thing that terrifies you, that you're at a restaurant and you're just live streaming. Okay, anyhow, if anyone's interested, if enough people come to me, I will resurrect that thing to do it. It was so much fun. And a lot of our spouses got involved because they saw their spouse and they're like, what is he doing? And you remember, I think Yannis got involved, GC got involved, a bunch of them. Yeah, okay. Here are the meetings that I'll have. Daily is the creative versus reactive. I put that in a meeting that is on my calendar. The main goal of that meeting is basically don't go reactive, but if you do have a creative outlet, do it. Maybe your creative outlet is sourcing for products. Maybe it's writing, maybe it's whatever. I also sometimes include my journaling in here, but I'm gonna get to journaling, not diary, journaling, in here as well. But you're putting yourself first. Super important to set the tone for the day this way. No Slack, stay out of the emails. Stay out of anything that makes you feel like they're on a trip and I'm not on a trip. You're human, it's gonna happen. Stay away from those things right now. There'll be plenty of time for that later. Quarterly, for at least 30 minutes, this is a very important exercise for me. I used to do this monthly, but I definitely do this quarterly, and it's at least 30 minutes long. Sometimes other people are on the call, usually it's just me, but this is an end of times meeting. And this is what technologies, if any, what competitors have come in that is kind of like end of times for me. If this is not checked, if I don't react, if I don't adopt this thing that's going on, like this could put me out of business. So it's like an end of, it's not as gloomy as you think. Like imagine how much happier Blockbuster would be if they did that, right? You wanna do it. Like I was looking at an article, we were talking about it earlier, I was looking at an article, Amazon's been rolling out a lot of big updates on their drones. So they just came out with this MK30 something to deliver, and they're showing you the deliveries in Texas. I mean, it's just like a train in the sky of nothing but drones going to deliver. And they're delivering things up to 5 pounds. But the tests show that they're already cleared and they've proven that they can deliver like 20, 30 pounds, these drones. This is just, they're at 5 pounds because of what the FAA is saying. And the article went in to talk about the impact that it's gonna have on different businesses. So one of the things we did is we're able to go in and see the fulfillment method. So like if you, especially in Texas, you're able to see if the fulfillment method of an order was done via X. You're actually able to see if it was drone delivered and the speed that it was done. I was looking at this and I'm like, wow. So you're also able to pair that and see things like first time, new to brand, first time buyer type things with that. And it seems like we've already known that the quicker the speed is, the higher the impulse buy. So it seems, this thing was about 800% higher than normal, like just insane. So it seems like if you have a smaller item, especially food, anything grocery and gourmet, the way people shop is gonna radically change and be impacted with drones. So, going really far ahead, and again, this is like a glimpse into like this exercise you're going through. It's like, well, imagine if your business was like heavily reliant on the way people shop at Publix. But now, why would somebody buy a week worth of groceries at first knowing that 25% of it goes to waste or something? Why don't they just, if they can have it delivered in 15 minutes with the ingredients they want, why don't they just order as they need? And just constantly, it's no problem, they can do that. What would your impact be if you were an Instacart person and a lot of your money was reliant on the deliveries from Instacart? You know, what would drones do to you in that scenario? It doesn't mean it's gonna happen next week, but you really need to start thinking and not wait a year and a half to say like, oh, I'm out of business, this sucks, you know, drones and technology and AI put me out of business. Like, no, you just weren't paying attention. So do that with your business. Have that at least quarterly, have that end of times meetup or extinction meetup, not meetup, meeting with yourself. Daily, I do a shutdown routine. I put that under a meeting. It's important to have a shutdown routine, and the reason I'm tying this, the reason I mentioned this meeting as far as your goals is because part of this shutdown routine is making sure that what you have set up to work on the next day is in line with your goals and is at least prioritizing them. I mean, things are gonna come up that you need to deal with that are not, you just need to deal with them. That's just, they came up, someone's gotta deal with them. You couldn't figure out someone to delegate it to, you gotta deal with it. But make sure it's not in the way of your priorities. Your to-do list is not your priority list. So that shutdown routine the night before is to make sure, okay, what didn't I get to today? Sort of why? Am I carrying this over tomorrow? What do I need to structure so that I'm set up good for that next day? That particular meeting right there, I learned from someone named Eric Partaker, and I've been implementing it. I mean, there's some times that I miss it, and I can tell you that if I miss my shutdown routine, my next day is not the same. And if I miss my shutdown routine and I fail in my creative versus reactive the next day, I'm not gonna have a good day the next day. So these two meetings are really important.
So can you go over that one more time? So you check what you didn't finish and you kind of plan the next day?
What I do there is I check at what I did. What I'm really trying to do here, like my main goal initially with this is pre-COVID, when I would leave the office, I would work as much as I could to the last second, because at some point I have to go home with the wife and the kids and all that, right? Love you, babe, if you're looking at this, by the way. But I needed to get in my car and drive home. And that was really the only time that I would allow myself to listen to like Star Wars audio books. It wasn't business related, it wasn't anything. And it was like this decompress so that when I got home, I wasn't ready to, I wasn't like on like work mode, you know, and letting that spill over onto my family. COVID forced me to work from home. And I was like, that wasn't working because you were always at work. So I needed a routine that I could do to switch, right? So hired some time with Eric Partaker, got a shutdown routine in place, and the shutdown routine is where I include a bunch of stuff. So one of them I start with is, what didn't I get to? Not from a point of like, you suck today, you know, but like, what didn't I get to? Like, this needs to be gotten to, because if you put priorities on your list, they can't just be ignored. So what needs to be gotten to that I couldn't get today? I give some thought to as to why. If it's because GC and the kids got into a fender bender accident, they needed someone to pick them up, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like, something out of my control happened, it was a greater priority, I needed to go deal with it. But like, what happened? And is that gonna spill over into the next day? Because I need to make some adjustments. And then I'm like, is this still the priority tomorrow? So I can be on track with everything else. And for that, you can use something like an Eisenhower matrix. But like, is that still a priority? And I was like, okay, it is. So I adjust my day and start filling out what are my goals for tomorrow. So when I'm waking up tomorrow, I'm not figuring out what my things are to do tomorrow. I'm not reactive, right? And then the final thing I'll do there is I'll do meditation / prayer or whatever you want to do, but you're trying to, I occasionally mess around with Headspace, or I might have my Brain FM subscription on, or some kind of like binaural beats or something. I'll put it on, I'll try to shut the lights off if possible, and just like, okay, put a timer on, I need something to shut down as much as possible and get into dad mode, husband mode, you know. If you have a bad day, wife and the kids don't deserve to like wear that, you know?
Yeah.
But you're human, like how do you turn off? So it's not a complete shut off, but the idea is to have some kind of shutdown routine. You need it. Yeah. Any questions on that? Okay, not too fluffy for you guys, right? 'Cause this is important stuff for me that if you miss it, it like hurts you in your goals. Diary, just kidding, journaling. I do whatever you want with this, but I am such a believer in the importance of journaling. If you're not doing it, I challenge you to like try it. It's very powerful. It's an almost immediate, it's not one of these things, do it for 6 months and you might feel a little warm and fuzzy. No, you will notice a difference almost immediately. You could do a blank page journal or diary. You could do one that's completely built off of prompts and you just answer those prompts. There's a lot of different styles to do it. The style that I do and now have been doing for many years is by Brendan Bouchard called High Performance Planner. It's a journal, and for me it's the best of both worlds. It has an AM and a PM, so I journal twice a day. Again, it is one of those things that if I do not do it, I notice an immediate impact that day on my mood, the way I treat people in my business, the way I react to certain things in my business, how effective I am at hitting certain goals in my business. It has a combination of prompts and space for you to put stuff. It gives you stuff like, what are the important goals for you to work on? What are the important things for you to do even if you can't work on them today? So you don't feel guilty that you're not making moves towards this other thing. You're acknowledging it, but it's part of the plan as to why you're not doing it today. So it's got a lot of things there that will help you on the business side of things, okay? But that's daily, twice a day. Sometimes I miss the second one. Like if I spent too long in my shutdown routine, I tried not to include this in my shutdown and routine and instead say I did the shutdown routine, clearer head to put something on here that doesn't look like pure anger or like rage in my journey, you know what I mean? Put this down and then walk out. But if at that point, you know, the kids are knocking or my wife's like, you better get here, then sometimes I don't do it, okay? Weekly reviews. If you have a team, I would encourage you to check out things which are called L10 meetings. This is more of it's a traction thing. It's nothing that I came up with. You do L10s. So I encourage you to do it. If you don't, I still encourage you to read traction. And all they are is really like
Can you repeat that last?
an L10 meeting if you have a team.
Level 10.
A level 10 meeting. And really it's just something that at the end of the meeting everyone's rating. They're highly structured. They're geared towards being very actionable meetings. That'd be a fair description, you think, yeah? You can read all about them in depth and how best to structure them in the book Traction. But if you do not have a team or you're not familiar with L10 meetings and how to structure them, because I do think if you don't know how to structure meetings right, they can be a monumental waste of time. So I don't want to say, you know what, you have a team, just go do meetings. No, go read Traction, go figure that out, figure out how to implement an L10 meeting, and then if not, in the meantime, have a meeting with yourself. I would rather you have the meeting with yourself than your team if you don't know how to really structure a meeting. But have a weekly check-in meeting with yourself as to how things are going. Like, you know, am I on track? Like, what's going on? Like, what am I stressed about? I didn't add this here, but this is usually where I will refer back to and this might seem like a lot, but it's actually very small things that you can build into a habit and that are gonna really help you hit your goals. This next one, I didn't put it here, but this is what I do in these weekly meetings a lot of times is I review my decision journal. So I'll have a totally different thing where if I do a big decision, I'll put down a decision that I put. And it's because when you're first starting to sell online, really what you're evaluated for really is kind of like how many boxes you shipped out, right? It's very easy. It's like, did all the orders go out? Yes, box checked. But at a certain point, your product is no longer those boxes, hopefully. You've hired someone. But your product is decisions that you make in your business. Hiring, do I work with this person, not, different strategies. And the thing is, just because you made it to that level does not mean you're a good decision maker. So you write out, I've decided to hire such and such I decided to hire Sellerfi to address our cash flow situation. That's a big decision. You had to make that. And you did. Good. And the date that I did it, the state of mind I was sort of in when I made it, like I was feeling very like anxious, like I wasn't gonna make payroll, I was afraid. Then the date that I expect to see the gains from this, and what do I expect to have after? So I expect that in 7 weeks, I'm no longer gonna have cash flow issues and I'm no longer stressing about cash flow. Great. In the calendar, I'm gonna review this on week 12. You go back and you look at it on week 12 and you're in a worse cash flow situation, but you still have seller's fire and you're still paying them the money, right? Or it allows you to go back and do quality control on your own product. It allows you to say, well, anytime that I'm having a lot of money stresses, I make bad money decisions. So I shouldn't be doing that. Maybe I should be talking to someone who should. So like, that's a decision journal. But I usually do that there. And the last one, and I guess we're gonna finish this a little early, but the last one I do to really have a meeting with myself to make sure these goals are on track. Actually, which ones?
The meetings with yourself about the goals.
Weekly. Yeah, weekly. Yeah, I personally do one with myself and we'll do an L10. But I think the one for myself too, to kind of sit back and think, like scheduled thinking time, you hear me refer to it as sometimes? Yes, Mondays. That's my scheduled thinking time on Mondays, which is important. Yeah. With all that, that helps me really, I feel like, do a much better job at hitting most of my goals. Now the goals you put in there, they're unique to you. Any questions? No? No, that's what I had. Yeah? All right, thank you. No questions from the stream, Fernando? Okay, good.
Sugar, hold on one second, let me find a plug. Oh, shit. How are you, man? What's going on? Yeah, good. How are you? Say hi.
We did it together.
certain times of the day, when you say like from 1 to 3, I plan on getting this done. That's my flex time in the event. I have an emergency, you know, so if they take school, I should go out. So I gotta have flex time. So it's not gonna happen. I just don't. You don't even know. Individually for you, it can help, but that's for me. Even though it's a work, for me that visual on Sunday is kind of outside of what I'm doing. That'll get you on a, you can't go from having no calendar to it's not gonna happen. I don't like to go backwards, so I don't like my system does that. I don't like to do fix the problem and move on from there instead of done. My job is to fix it, your job is to follow up and fix it, that's it. I don't have to write this. So I don't like to do this. I use meetings to check on what I did last time.
Next year. Good, how about you?
I got a shipment in, that's great.
Well, it's sitting there, but yeah.
Sitting where?
In a port.
In what port? Next time, just as a little rule of thumb, overnight, pay for the overnight, get it to you, inspect it, and then get it in yourself. You know you're going to pay more, just to get it in.
Okay.
That's just the
Like
multiple hospitals, you just get one, how many your items come small. So you could get 2 items in one box. And you get different variations. So if you that be one box, and you can see and you can inspect it yourself, and then also get your name, not me.
Yeah, because this is kind of crazy. This is good to know. I was originally, I was gonna try to do a little something like that, but they did get it. They're much quicker than I thought they were.
Well, they have it faster, but then what happens is it's called decontainerization. You're taking your pallet out of a container.
Yeah.
So imagine 42 of your pallets that they're trying to figure out where it goes.
Yes.
That's that's the problem.
Yes, it seems as so.
But it's probably better to take more time, because you're just gonna pay more for hospital for Christmas time.
That's what I'm thinking. For me, I'm like, oh, it's fine if it takes
Are they
longer.
coming to you or are they going to you?
I wasn't doing it just like I didn't realize that.
It should be, but it's broken, so don't worry about it. Okay, you did it the right way. Yeah, I would still do that. So what happens is, if I were to send in a box, it used to cost me $10 to send in a box. Now it costs me $50.
I felt like,
So we're forcing everybody to do it.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yes.
And what happens is everybody starts to do it.
And it was
We can't screw them completely, so then they go back to FDA $10 until they fix the problem.
until they fix it. Okay.
So, yeah, so if you get in,
Thank you. Always good talking to you. Happy holidays. It's for you guys. She's gonna get it. But for them, I was like, what? And then I was like, oh, yeah.
production before 7 days, and then have an expectation for some of the costs. No, probably end of Q1. March.
Educational, spiritual, which one is it?
Let me showroom. We need a little more than that. It's more spiritual. Doesn't hurt, right? Doesn't hurt, yeah.
Is it gonna be like off the roof, or is it like the back, have you already been? Factory's not gonna